Nissan believes you deserve a car that thrills you. So we have to ask, does your car thrill you? When you hit the pedal, do you get something back? A chill in your spine, goosebumps on your goosebumps. When you take off, do your fingers tighten around the steering wheel? Does your heart beat in your stomach and your breath catch in your chest? Does driving make you feel alive? Because it should. And if your car doesn't thrill you, ours will. This is the new Nissan.
Avoid upfront fees that cripple businesses with IBM Cloud. Bare Metal on IBM Cloud rents out dedicated servers by the hour or month. Customize over 11 million different configurations. Deploy on demand. Get unlimited inbound bandwidth, plus 24/7 support and 20 terabytes of outbound bandwidth cost-free. And when's the last time you checked IBM Cloud bare metal prices? They're now more comparable than ever. The better bare metal is IBM Cloud. Visit ibm.biz/bare metal servers today and see for yourself.
Hello, Craig. How's it going?
Hello, Per. How are you?
I'm fine. So what's going on, eh?
It's all good. So we're doing a live show in the Knife Talk booth. For those that don't know us, Knife Talk is a podcast for knife makers, hobbyists, and collectors, which I've been hosting for about 5 years with my co-hosts. So I am Craig Lockwood of Chop Knives. I specialise in culinary knives with a big emphasis on sustainability. The other hosts we have are Jeff Fader of Fader Knives, who's a knife maker from New York, making awesome chef knives for some of the best chefs in the world, and really amazing knives. And we also have Mareko Maumasi of Maumasi Fire Arts. He's a Forged in Fire champion and probably one of the greatest knife makers in the world. Each week we record a 90-minute episode that goes live every Monday morning, where we answer listener questions, we have live callers, we have some fun in games, we have a laugh. It's always good fun. So as I say, we'll be doing a live show today and having some fun with the Damasteel attendees and the exhibitors. So yeah, swing by our booth and get involved.
That sounds great, Craig. I'm really glad to have you here, and I'm sure you have a good time with all your listeners and all the people that you have, and we sure have a great collection of fantastic and amazing knife makers here today.
I've been looking through the catalogues of the knives available, and some of them are amazing. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Per. I'm going to put you right on the spot here. Have you got a favourite knife that's been exhibited today?
Oh, there are several. I have one that has a green handle and a very nice blade, which is serrated, and you might find that. There is also many. I fancy the one who are forged, that are forged from round stock. And there are a couple here. And of course, I know that those are also my favorites because I know what kind of a job that goes into that.
How much work, yes. Yeah. So have you made any knives yourselves, Per? You obviously make this fantastic steel there at Damasteel, but have you made any knives yourself?
I've done some grinding, but I haven't really had time to finish anything really. So yeah, my interest is into the molecules of the steel, and so that's where I basically lay my time and try to design the pattern that goes with it and the process of doing it. So, well, I have to confess, I'm not a knife maker.
But you do appreciate a good knife, which is always good.
Well, you see, I do, and for me, a culinary knife is something special. The culinary knife is such a valuable tool. You use it most every day, and of course, I have a good collection of culinary knives, and with the Damasteel blades, and I think it's the opportunity to get to use something that is so beautiful in the combination of cooking a good meal. It's a fantastic experience. I cannot think of any better usage of the steel or usage of and a work of art.
Yeah. And what we find, we've been doing the show for 5 years, and we have a lot of interaction with our listeners. So we find not only are, top quality chefs now really enjoying, handmade tools and seeing the work that goes into it, but also just home chefs now as well. as you know, so much is on TV now, and people are cooking, especially being in lockdown too. People are cooking a lot more. People are really appreciating, the handmade side of things now, which is really nice to see.
Oh yes, and I think and the feeling using something that is handmade and that this is done with such a skill and effort and love for the materials and love for everything, love for the design. It makes something. It's really a unique feeling or.
Yeah. So for those who maybe haven't come to the show before, what can they expect in the next 2.5 hours, nearly 3 hours? What can they expect in, whether they're in booths or on the main stage?
Well, I think they should go to the booth and check out the knife makers and chat with them, or join the video chat and talk to them and listen to what they're saying, and ask them questions about the knives, and go to the knife page. As you said, all the knives are on the knife page, and have a good look at that. And
they can vote also, can't they, for their best in class? So anybody who's attending can vote for what they think is their best knife. How is that working?
Yeah, on the knife page, you can vote. You can see at the very top of the knife page, you fill in your details, your contact details. Of course, we need to contact the winner for the raffle draw, and they just fill in the name and the number of the knife maker, and the number or name of the knife. So it's not too difficult there, I think. So that should be. They should be good then.
So listen, guys, all you attendees, don't just vote for your friends. Make sure you go and look at everybody's knife. Make a nice fair vote. And you've got a chance to win a raffle then too. So it's all good for everybody.
Yeah, and that will be a prestigious prize, of course, for the winner.
Yes. Well, I'm going to leave you to it now. Good luck with the show, and I'm sure everybody's going to have a great time.
Thank you, Craig. It was great chatting with you, and we will talk to you later, maybe, and we will see you, and we'll see all the rest of you in the booth or at the award ceremony. So have a good time and enjoy the event, and we'll see you around. Okay, thank you.
This show is brought to you by The Makery, the podcast network for makers.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of podcast? Knife Talk Podcast. I'm starting off strong. So this is the first time we're doing video, so even though if you're listening to this on the actual radio or on the podcast, you're not going to see the video. Hopefully we can save some of this. It would be cool to get this back up. But anyways, this is a podcast about knives. We talk knives, we answer questions, we give each other a hard time. As always, we just try to have a good time and have fun and help support the community. I'm here with Jeff Fader of Fader Knives and Mr. Craig Lockwood of Chop Knives. And gentlemen, let's kick it off. Who wants to start?
What did you guys think of your intros? Top of my head, that was when I come up with those intros earlier.
I really thought that you'd prepared that out.
No,
that was I was dumbfounded. I wasn't surprised, but I was like, Craig really gave it to Piers. You know, even put him on the spot.
My trigger finger was on the cutoff music for him, and I was thinking, can you imagine? That would be so cool. I did manage to sneak one little jingle in, but yeah, my trigger finger was ready to go.
Nice. Can you imagine?
So
welcome aboard. Give him the hook in the first 5 minutes.
That would have been awesome, yeah. We chatted last night. So the idea of this show is we're recording this, and this is going to go live. Well, this will be a podcast episode next week.
Right.
So we're all good. So that means we get next Friday night off, which is nice.
Oh, yeah.
Which is nice. So, Mareko, what have you been up to in the last 24 hours?
Well, I wasn't able to join the podcast yesterday because I was struggling with the connection. So hopefully today that goes a little bit better. But But I'm trying to think what I didn't get to share yesterday. Biggest thing, this secret sword I've been working on, I have to start over on. So I'm not too excited about that. Oh. Yeah. I got about 2 weeks of work in that thing, and I gotta start over on that. I made a belt buckle, and that also didn't work. So this past week has been a not the greatest week of my knife making career, honestly.
Oh, geez. So you're working throughout the weekend now?
Yeah, well, at least today. Yeah, I'll be forging today and actually kind of starting on some new steel for the sword that I'm starting over on. But you know, mistakes are part of everything. It comes with the territory, and you gotta basically try to learn from those mistakes so you can move onward and upward.
Yeah. Just a quick note, actually, because we're using different technologies that we normally use. So for anybody who is listening live, and there's quite a few people here already, there is a chat thing there as well. So you can. So on the right of the screen, certainly for me anyway, there's a chat. So if you've got questions, ask us questions. It'll be cool. Nice. Jeff, the last 24 hours, what have you been up to?
Dude, I was preparing for this for weeks. And this morning, I was getting ready. I was all excited. I was doing some research on different knife makers and stuff like that. And my wife says to me, she says, you know what? Maybe you just need to relax a little bit before this. I know you're a little nervous. Come outside and do some yard work with me. It'll be relaxing for you. And I'm like, all right, fine. Whatever. So we had a small pile of sticks and stuff we had to burn. So she's like, just burn this stuff for me, because I'm not going to get in the minutia of it, but our town is like limiting how much we put out in the street, whatever. So we're burning little sticks and trees, little tree parts and tree parts. And all of a sudden I throw a couple leaves in, and then I realize after, it's starting to get pretty smoky. And I turned to my wife, I'm like, yeah, we're almost done. I'm not going to do any more leaves. It's going to be bad. And then all of a sudden, out of the bushes, this woman wearing a surgical mask starts screaming her head off at us. What are you doing? My house is filled with smoke, and I have lung problems. And she's just like carrying on right out of the chute. This just happened a couple hours ago.
She's carrying on.
She's going, and it was very clear that she was coming over for a fight. And my wife and I are just like, this is being accosted in our own backyard is new for the both of us. So I was like, I'm so sorry. I see the smoke. I'm so sorry. I'm terribly sorry. And then my wife says, she kicks into dealing with psychotics. She has to do. She has this button in her head where like the psychotic conversation comes on, how you deal with psychotics. And she goes, that must be very hard for you. And she all of a sudden was just like, whoa, that must be very hard for you. I'm so sorry that you said that. I'm so sorry. This is terrible. You must be very scared. And then the woman is like, and I'm apologizing. And she's keep going. And I said, but madam, we're apologizing. I'm sorry. We're sorry. I put everything out. We put everything out. We're sorry. And she's still screaming at us.
Oh, geez.
And finally, like, what can you do? My wife said she's sorry. I said, I'm sorry. Put the water. We're sorry. You're going to keep going. And she's screaming and hollering. She leaves. And Hillary and I just start giggling, because it's just like, we've never been yelled at like that. We're like children.
In your own garden.
Yeah. In our own garden. 5 minutes later, she comes back wearing her happy mask. Before, she came in with like this like N95 mask. And then she came wearing this like very friendly mask, which is hilarious. And she says, I just wanted to come over to re-represent myself. I don't want you
First
to think
impressions count. That's it.
I'm immediately saying, this is a Karen. We're getting a Karen in our own backyard. She had threatened to call the fire department. We were apologetic. We're sorry. And then she's like, I just want to re-represent myself. Obviously, she went back in her house. The whole neighborhood heard her. And she came back in her house, and whoever was in her house said, are you out of your fucking mind? You're just going to go to your neighbors and just start screaming and hollering throughout the neighborhood? She was apologizing, but then I was just like, it's okay. We're sorry. And then she went back into it. And she's trying to apologize. Are you mad at me? No, I'm not mad at you. I'm like, we just want you to go. I'm sorry. I can't keep apologizing. And then she just wanted to talk to my wife and just like befriend her.
Sounds like a Seinfeld episode, this.
Dude, it was like Larry David. And I turned around and I'm like, I can't. And she said, I just wanted you to know. I said, madam, I can't apologize anymore. I'm done. I can't say I'm sorry anymore. I can't be more apologetic. And then she says, I don't want you to apologize. I'm like, okay, I just apologized 100 times. And the hilarious, so she's screaming and hollering about apologizing to us. And then she's talking about she wants to have drinks with us and how can we get in contact. And I turn to her, I'm like, I'll just start the fire again. I'll put some smoky leaves on, and then you'll know it's us.
Let's get a barbecue going. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was nonstop insanity.
Crazy.
So it wasn't relaxed at all. I said, thanks, Hillary. I wasn't relaxed. That wasn't relaxing at all. Actually, that was very jarring. That's what happened in the last 24 hours, last 5 hours. Get yelled at by my neighbor.
That's not what you need. Not what you need.
No.
I'm just looking at the chat here, and we've got Gary from Scotland. Sam Gleason is here as well, who I think he's helping Fingal out today in his booth. So anybody else, let us know where you're from, because this is something we don't normally see. We don't normally see people, live. So it would be nice to see where people are. Winnipeg, Canada. Justin Lamoureux.
I think you gave Justin the hook in a former episode.
Possibly.
I was in some chat and people were saying Craig's gonna give me the hook. He already gave me the hook once.
What's quite scary is Damasteel will give me admin privileges here, so I can kick people out of the whole thing. But I won't. I promise. I won't. Geez, George from Netherlands. We've got Ontario. Orlando.
I see
Austin.
Some very familiar names. Buster Cooey, we know him. Tim Landini's here.
Q8? People from Q8?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's Fahad. We know him. He contributes to the show.
Yeah.
Charlie Ellis is in the house. Look at you.
This is just going to be a show of us just looking at the chat and just going, Orlando
Novak is the guy who gave the hook before.
Oh, jeez. Right. Okay. Let's get on with the show. Have we got any?
Hey, man. Can I ask you a question?
And maybe anybody in the chat has got a question for us as well. And if so, we'll do it live.
I like that.
Let's have a look. We've got Caleb Wilson. We've had a question from Caleb. Can I ask you a question? I'm a young maker and slowly been building my tool supply. I'm thinking about buying a mini mill to help with Damascus production and expand my capabilities in the shop. Would love to get all your opinions on it. By the way, love the show. So he's talking about getting a mini mill, and I think they're like the most of them are those like Sieg, I think they call like X2 or X3s, the mini mills. So they look a bit like a drill press, a bit more to them. And he's wondering if that could help with his Damascus production. Damascus production, Mareko. This is for you. What do you think? Would you have use for a mill?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I see, I do see, especially Alex Steele, who we love. He's a friend of the show. I see people using mills to kind of flatten down their bars so that when they mate back together, they weld really nicely and very easily and readily. That's a big tool to do something that you can honestly do on your grinder with a 36 grit belt and then jumping to a 120. That's plenty. And you can do it by hand. It's great grinding practice. And what was the other thing? Oh, it only takes like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Wait, we've got
unsolicited advice.
We've got some unsolicited advice from Charlie Ellis in the chat there.
I love it.
Get a full-size mill if you have the space, he said.
Right.
And I've used one of those mini mills, and to be honest with you, they're not the most rigid things. So
I think deflection would be a big issue.
Possibly.
For sure.
Yeah. Have you done much work on mills, Jeff?
No, I have used a drill press. That's about it. I've been in shops with mills. I've never actually used one.
Right, so, fair enough. Yeah.
And just to answer a question, we have the chats. I love the chats. We've already gotten our first piece of unsolicited advice from Fahad. Fahad, we're with you, my man. But this this is going to be about knives. We got 3 hours, so we might have some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, man.
Will this podcast finally be about knives? No, God. I'm going to talk about my tractor first. We haven't talked about what I've been up to the last 24 hours. I picked up a little garden tractor today, which I've been wanting for ages, and it's been great just racing around the garden with the kids on my lap. Yeah, that was good. So we cooked today for the first time at the new house, actually on top of a wood-burning stove with a pan. And we made a bolognese, which was really nice. So,
nice.
Fahad, that is especially for you because I know you're interested in our life outside of knives.
I would think that there's I would think that I use a mill vise. I use the one of those vices that has an X and Y
cross slide
vice. I do use those for cutting into ferrules and stuff like that for hidden tang knives. But I mean, other than that, like I can't see myself using them for any kind of steel production. I mean, we'd ask other bladesmiths when they come, but I mean.
Yeah. Lando has just said in the chat that mills are great for slotting. So you've been doing that with the drill press then, just using the mill vise in your drill press, do you?
That's what she said, right?
Oh, here we go. We're meant to be professional today.
A little bit, right?
We're meant to be professional. People can't see, but Jeff has, because he's in the dark, but he's had a haircut and he's wearing a suit and tie. He's been putting a lot into this. This is professional Jeff you see this week.
Well, actually, yesterday's episode was a tryout of not being in the car, and it was a disaster. So I'm back in the car. So if you can't see me, I'm not wearing a suit. Change
or trousers.
Hey, man, can I ask you a question?
Justin from Canada has got a question in the chat. I just started making my own Damascus. There are some darker cloudy spots that have appeared. Was I just not cleanly enough? Was he just not cleaning it enough? I think that's what he means.
I'd have to ask. I would need to know, like, where and at what part of the process. So on the finished blade, he's getting black cloudiness. Who was that? Justin, you said?
Justin, yes, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he'll jump back.
Yeah, finished blades, finished. He's saying, yeah.
Yeah, my guess, I'd have to see a picture. But for some reason, it's just not... Oh, and is it on the 15 and 20? Because if it's got bold 15 and 20, the 15 and 20 will pick up dark cloudiness where it should be bright and silvery. But if it's too bold, it's not going to stay silver. It's going to start picking up color and darken in the middle, which gives it kind of like those darky, cloudy thing. Blotches, yeah.
Yeah, on the 15
it is on the 15. That's exactly it. So my guess is that his 15 and 20 is too broad. I found that if the 15 and 20 lines are broader than about 1/8 of an inch, or maybe like 2.5 millimeter, it will start, once it gets bolder than that, it'll start picking up color and becomes kind of a pain in the ass to try to keep clean. Yeah, there's kind of no way around it. The only thing I can think of is this is ridiculous, but there are these micro stones that are literally the size of like a mechanical pencil lead. And if you really want to, you can get in there with those stones and scrub it out and clean it out. But that's a lot more than I would want to do. I would either just figure out a way to just roll with it or carefully clean those areas out.
Cool. We've got one of our exhibitors here in the room, and he's asking if he can drop in and chat. Nathaniel, I'm gonna say Bonner, not Boner, because we're trying to be professional today.
Come on, man. That's Nate Bonner of NHB Knife Works.
Let's bring him in.
Bring him in.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on, Nate?
How are you doing? Good to see everybody. Yeah. Cheers.
This is surreal for us, being able to see people, because we normally do our show and it's just like a radio show. But this is great. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I'm like instantly stupid when I'm on camera. It's like I'm great, like face to face with people. I love shows and everything, and like you get me on this, and I'm like,
you're doing great.
I don't know why I'm here.
You're doing great, Nate.
Thank you.
So you're exhibiting knives today. You have knives for sales. Do you have them with you? Do you have them with you now?
I do. Yeah, I've got. This is a big guy right here. I sort of themed all these for like springtime in St. Louis, and dogwoods are my favorite flowers. So we did sort of these like natural wood leather sayas, and then all this artwork is actually like hammered into the leather, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
And then went all Bifrost pattern, which is like my absolute favorite. And these guys, I got up to let's see, about 2,500 grit, which actually last year when I did Damasteel, I had severely injured this hand and had some plastic surgery. So I got belt finished everything last year. So I got really into belt finishing, and then I finally sort of made that transition back to being able to hand sand. So these were just like super fun for me to get that clean and see my reflection perfectly in a blade again. It had been a long time since that happened. So
they look, it looks very, very nice. So where are you based, Nate?
I'm in St. Louis, Missouri.
Missouri, right. Okay, cool.
One of the things I'm interested, I was looking at your work beforehand, Nate. Do you prefer Nate or Nathaniel?
Either one. It totally doesn't matter.
I love when I was looking at your sayas, that you do these leather sayas, and they have a real elegance to them. And it's very. Originally I thought you said they were dogwood. They were dogwood imprinted. Now it had a feeling of like cherry blossoms.
Oh,
and I thought that it was. I just really enjoy. I really think that they're an awesome looking saya, leather saya.
Thanks. Yeah, this guy's like crazy detailed. You probably can pull it up better, like in the knife picture. But we kind of did some like bigger blossoms, and then those smaller, sort of like hammered in, textured, almost Monet-ish. You know what I mean? Like from a distance, you definitely get the feel for what it's supposed to be, and up close, they actually look pretty cool too. But we wanted to also capture some like detailed stuff. And I work with my buddy Nick Pence. We've been working together for like 4 years on just collabing. It was one of the things I was mentioning earlier in my booth. There was a time there where Nick's sayas were better than my knives, and it was so hard to get that like cohesive look in a collaboration with somebody. But it's one of those things where like after I talked to him about it, he was like, man, well, I didn't think my leather was standing up to your knives. And so in our heads, each of us were sort of like, pushing each other just to get better. And it's rare, I think, to find somebody that you can jive with, like perfectly. And this knife looks like one cohesive, we try to do everything in sort of sets and want it to tell a story and to get just the craft end of it together, where you don't have a part of the knife that looks like it has more skill in it than something else. Because there's nothing worse than like feeling that feeling of like, damn, I didn't measure up on that one. And then, so yeah, it took us some years of like dialing it in. I did a lot of like hard sayas too, which just designing them now when we get together and design stuff, it's nice to have that like background of working with, carbon fiber sayas and wood sayas and all that to now sort of transition to leather, which is always sort of like your classic knife sheath material. But we try to give it like a more modern look in the kitchen knives, but still capture that old school vibe. Like all this stuff up here is essentially man-made material except the leather, but it definitely has like the wood look.
Yeah.
Which I like. I like sort of the faking the organic look, if that makes any sense at all.
Sure.
But yeah, it just adds a little bit of fun to it. But,
it's cool.
Yeah.
And it's cool that there's two of you to sort of bounce not just ideas off, but just make sure you're both on the top of your game as well, because I'm sure you're both very honest with each other. If something's not perfect, you're there for each other, yeah.
It's good and bad.
Your Instagram picture is, it's like a zebra rooster. What's going on with that?
That's my chicken named Marge. She is a Polish crested bantam, and she will hang out on my shoulder. She's like a pirate bird. But she's crazy. Yeah, she's a little fun.
So what are you hoping to get from the show today? First of all, how many knives have you got available?
I have 3 left. And I've got one smaller guy that's like in the just under 400 range. And then I have 2 of the large knives that are, I think I'm like right under 1,000 on one and right at 1,000 on the other. And those guys are still up for grabs. Honestly, like for me and Damasteel for this event, this is my second time doing it. And I think the last time that I did it, it pushed me so hard into a better direction. And it really, I took it super seriously, almost too serious, where I was like losing sleep over it, and just being nervous and, all that. But I feel like I could see a change in my knives like the day after that last Damasteel. I started really paying much more attention to detail. I started going back to the basics. I just recently took a 2-week forging workshop that was all just basic, intro to the ABS. And now I'm just sort of like, I was a chef before this, and I always said, focus on the basics and master them. And then your art will just kind of come out of it. And, this time around, I just feel like just leveling up that little bit, it's just going to help me. So now I'm looking at Damasteel as more of like a personal growth. I mean, for me, it's not like selling the knives. Honestly, I probably spent so much time on these that like, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm rolling in money when I sell them.
Yeah.
I'm not Scrooge McDuck in it, but I get so much personal gratification out of it. And Pear bought one of my knives last year, which was like,
awesome.
I was just like, I don't even know what to say, but it really like, it gave me a nice boost of confidence that I needed. And it's just a great personal opportunity to get better. And then, also get good criticism and then see what the other people are doing that, it still inspires me every day. I'm actually got a class with Salem coming up at the end of the summer that like, I'm scared to even go to the class because I need to get better at welding. So I'm going to probably
just relax. He's a good dude. He's a good dude. You don't worry about that. Just go in there and have a good time.
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, I'm pumped for that. So yeah.
Cool. It's interesting you said that you were a chef before, and a lot of our listeners that we know are knife makers have come through that route as well. What sort of competitive advantage do you think that gives you over others?
What's funny is now I'll answer that question way different than if you asked me a few years ago when I was fresh from being a chef. I think I've been knife making around 7-8 years now. I don't even count the first couple of years, so we'll call it 5 because I was horrible. But I would say just the act of cutting and knowing really the difference between cutting on a flat surface versus cutting in the air is so drastically different. So knives that are used when a carcass is hanging and you're breaking down a lamb or something just have such a different geometry overall and profile than what needs to actually run flush on a board. So like handle trajectory, when the belly of your knife is flat on the board, not having that handle stick perfectly, parallel to it, and learning to raise things and lower things. So, one of the big chefs will always come to me and they'll be like, I need a knife that has tons of knuckle clearance because I have a big hand. When really just changing the trajectory of how that handle sits when that blade is flush riding fixes that problem. And so I'd say that it gave me a little bit of an edge, but a knife joke. But like really, I got so caught up in knife making that like all that stuff kind of went out the window. And, now I'm like, oh, duh, that makes so much sense, and distal taper, like, of course. And this is why you would. And it's until I got this craft a little bit more, a couple more notches in my belt, then it started to all make sense a little bit. But I think I was so caught up in the world of knife making. It was so overwhelming. Yeah. That all that like common sense just kind of like almost goes away for a minute because you're so worried about just keeping your blade straight. The last thing on my mind is like this transition of my distal taper and how far up that should go and, all of that. It was just kind of like now that stuff's starting to fall into place. But cutting demos, I think that's the only thing that gives me like, that little extra bit of competitive goodness is that if I get a knife in my hand, it's really easy for me to show off what that can do.
You're not cutting water bottles or bits of rope. You're using them as they're meant to be intended. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool. So
I cut my first rope the other day. That was horrifying.
Really? So you mentioned about, how much you've improved since doing the show last year. What is it that you haven't tackled yet? That one thing that you're just like, oh man, I want to do that, but you haven't quite worked up to.
Funny you ask. I got them right here. These are these integrals that I've been working on. I'm trying to I'm just forging them now and essentially setting them to the side. I haven't finished a single one of these just because this is my next like mountain that I want to climb. And this, was sort of like, I was talking to Pear the other day and I think, next time around for Damasteel, I want to do all, no stock, forge everything, do integrals. And I just, that's definitely like where I want to be. And I've actually got a class in Pennsylvania next week that's, power hammer and forging integrals, which, I've been saving up a lot of money and trying to be super frugal so I can get a little more education this year because I kind of figured that's what I was missing. I think I dived into knife making right into the deep end, which works really well for some people, but I think I got overwhelmed and then I got hurt and then I was out for, it was like 7 months.
Oh, wow.
Knife in the hand this way. It just separated this knuckle. So this is all, doesn't really move much. But there was a lot of silver linings out of that. And I learned a ton about myself. I had an amazing amount of family support. And yeah, I kind of am like in a weird way glad that it happened. And it sort of made me more mechanical too, because I was that person that never even knew how to change the oil on a car. I've always been more of like that artist side of me. Like I paint, I cook, I know nothing about machines. Now I can take my grinder apart all day long and put it back together and modify things. And that, hand injury, all of a sudden I was having to like grind these little pockets in my tangs to sort of create a mechanical lock for a vise, so I could grab onto something because I couldn't really do this. So, just using these fingers to grind. And it made me think a lot outside the box on using my equipment and making my equipment work for me. And that all at the end of the day, I feel like translates to, to dollars. Like people say, don't look at a piece of equipment that you need in knife making is like spending a bunch of money. Look at it as an investment to make you more money. And just little things like vice grips, learning how to take a $5 tool, $10 tool and make it really generate a little bit more time for me, which at the end of the day, this is my full-time job. So all the time, the better,
Yeah. Well, Mareko's back.
Awesome.
He had some technical issues, I'm afraid. So he's back in the room. So Nathaniel, or Nate rather, was just telling us, Mareko, about he's just starting to do integral chef knives.
Sure.
And he makes these beautiful knives anyway, but now he's got some courses planned and that kind of thing as well. What advice have you got for somebody who's doing, starting out on integrals?
Are you forging them?
Yeah, I've got like a couple of these little guys that I'm just sort of getting the nuts and bolts together, and I'm sort of just doing these splicers because I'm struggling a little bit with the chef knives, and I haven't finished any of these. I've just been sort of piling them up to just get comfortable forging them. I'm not even sure I know how to finish one of these. But, any advice would be amazing. I love your knives, by the way. It's absolutely killed.
So well, I will say that Broadback's integral grinding jig is a great way to clean up that transition from the blade to the bolster. Look at me. That would be a number one key move. I will say, especially when it comes to forging, what took me a while to figure out is that especially if you're looking for a tall chef's knife, at least around 2 inches or maybe even more, you want to start pulling that heel down sooner rather than later. So around a quarter of an inch thickness. Exactly. Around a quarter of an inch, if not 5/16 of an inch, maybe. Because if you start by isolating the bolster material from the rest of the blade, and you forge it down really thin, and then all of a sudden you don't have material there for pulling that heel down. So maybe you only draw that out maybe halfway and it's still around a quarter of an inch or thicker, and then you pull the heel down, then continue pulling out the rest of the length of the blade.
Makes sense. I actually saw that Broadback attachment, and I talked to him on the phone, and now I want to sell one of my grinders and get one of those.
That's not a bad move.
Yeah, any grinder that tilts down, that's what I'm missing. Now I have like an old Bader B3 and a way older Ameribraid that doesn't tilt. So yeah, I'm loving the Broadback grinder. I got to work on one of those TW90s the other day, which was pretty cool too. But yeah, the fact that they had that integral grinding attachment looked super sweet, and surface grinder attachment.
Yeah. I've got one of them. It's amazing. And Nate, when you're ready to get one, we can get you 10% off. If you use Knife Talk 10 as your promo code with Broadback, you'll get 10% off your order.
That's right.
Super appreciate that.
We've got a question in the chat from Johan, and Nate, we can put the question to you first. He's asking about trends between makers. He's saying, what are you seeing this year? Is there any sort of trends that are jumping out? And when it comes to style, what are you most excited about? The way things are going.
I'd say trends now. For a while there was such a heavy presence of like the Japanese influence on like the overall profiles of knives, and it's sort of turning into this like hybrid of a Western and sort of this like weird mashup, which is almost like where I'm sort of just fell into it on accident, just with faceted handles. I like handles that, flare and get fatter. But I like the style of the wah build. And I started pinning through my cores. So I still drill down, do a poplar core, then run a pin through the blade and the core. So it's just this mix of style that you see, I think it's just a natural progression of, you see all these great influences that have been around forever. And, a lot of knife makers that, I don't have any like formal training anywhere specifically or geographically that like locks me into a style of knife. So it's more where my skill level sits, and then, okay, what can I do? And there's only so many things that I've even seen, so it's just, I'm really excited to see just the overall shape of culinary knives. And I think that's also like the big trend now is you're seeing so many knife makers that were just killing it, making all these like fun utility knives and camp knives and, buoys and all that stuff are making kitchen knives now. And that's interesting to see. I mean, seeing like a harpoon point or a clip point on a chef knife, I mean, you can just see the style and you know exactly where they're coming from. And I just think that's like a cool thing to see all that stuff getting mashed up. And, you know, in the food world, like fusion was that thing that everybody like, it was like the F word for a while. Like, don't say it, like, don't even do it. But I think with a craft like this, I mean, knife making's been around for so long, and you could argue, you know, same with food, that like just because you can put two things together doesn't mean you should. But, you know, with knife making, for me anyway, it's really fun to see, you know, this culinary trend, high-end knife trend. I mean, I talked to some older knife makers that, you know, were making knives in the 80s that said like custom knives just weren't a thing. It was such a cult, you know. Now you're like, oh yeah, this knife's $2,000, and people are like, oh, that's awesome. Whereas before you get like laughed out of a room, you know? So yeah, it's cool to see the art, you know, and the craft itself, like coming together and growing and seeing like that old school style and this like sort of new school, super bright. I mean, I kind of went through that phase where everything I made looked like it was Miami Vice, you know, hot pink, and which I still do, but you know, I've tried to tone it down a little bit. Maybe I'm just getting older and wiser. I don't know.
It's good to have a style, because we always talk about on the show that it's difficult to differentiate yourself when, you know, it's something small, sharp, and pointy for cutting food. There's so many things you can do. But you know, talking about how things have changed over time, Jeff has been making knives since I think the 40s, 50s. He's proper old. What do you think, Jeff, about styles and how things have changed? Have you seen anything like this year that you think, oh, right, people are jumping on a certain style, any sort of bandwagons, anything like that, trends?
I mean, this style is basically people learning how to make knives. I mean, the influx of young people learning how to do it and getting into it and realizing how accessible it is. I don't think I think the style changes now differently than it would have been in the 70s and the 80s. I think because you have so much, you know, you see so much on Instagram and on YouTube, and you see so much, you have a much faster chance of picking a style or going with a style or seeing where you fit in. So, I mean, it seems like everything's growing exponentially. That's what I would say. In regards to Miami Vice, I want to go farther into Miami Vice. I want Miami Vice colors. I think it gets to the point where it's just like, sometimes it's nice to have a little fun, you know?
Yeah. I love your knives, by the way, too, man. They're killer.
You're too kind.
Dude, the color combos are great.
I'm right here, Nate. I'm right
too
here.
Kind. You're too kind. You're too kind. That's right, Nate. You hear what he said? Because you know you took a shot at him. How old? I was 40s and the 50s. How dare you, little bastard, you. My hair's darker than your hair, P.S.
It's the light.
I see your roots too, Junior.
This is the above light I've got. So it's showing sort of silvery. It's not real.
Get some more of that shoe shine.
CGI.
Get some more of that shoe shine polish.
Mareko, what have you seen as in sort of styles or trends? Anything this year specifically?
I feel like I'm definitely seeing a lot more faceted handles, especially faceted Western style handles, and I'm seeing a lot of people doing these like the copper my. So it's copper integrated into the material. Those are pretty interesting looking.
You know what's Mareko? It's interesting because we do get a ton of questions about. It's called QMI, right? QMI, copper my, whatever. I don't know what the hell it's called.
I think that's
a lot of questions about it, and it seems as though you're 100% right, because I'm seeing so many more questions about it. Have we used it? Have we used it? Have we used it? It just seems like some of our listeners are also trying to get more information at us because it is maybe it is a popular trend. I have no idea.
I actually just sent out like 19 Kumai blades to Peters because I was struggling so hard to heat treat that Nitro V core, because you really have to have liquid nitrogen on hand to do those. I tried doing it with 65 pounds of dry ice with aluminum clamps and buried the dry ice, charged it with water, went like negative 100 for like 2 days, and it still didn't harden it. So I bought a whole bunch of that stuff. And Greg Dion is, I think, like the number one guy making it right now, Dion Damascus. And he's super cool. And I just fell in love with that look. And you're right. That was totally like a trend that there's a couple makers that I think exclusively use his stuff.
Sure.
And it's one of those things where it definitely is eye catching. So I bought a whole bunch of it. I, invested a good amount of money in just doing a bunch of stock removal with it, and then realized I just had a terrible time with the heat treat. So yeah, they're all at Peters right now.
Cool.
So hopefully you see some of those come out that look look decent, you know.
Looks like you did the right thing.
They're fun to grind. What's that?
I said it's a good move.
Oh, yeah, sending them away. Yeah, I actually kind of shot myself in the foot because I would have had a few more Damasteel knives, but I didn't plan on them being finished for the show, so I just threw them in with the Peter stuff because that is very time-consuming, that heat treating process, you know?
Yeah.
And especially when you're by yourself. That makes for a fun afternoon, you know?
Hey, Craig, if you were going to not send them to Peter's and you were going to heat treat them yourself, what would you use?
Knife Talk is sponsored by Even Heat, the manufacturers of the finest heat treat ovens available. To find your next oven, go to evenheat-kiln.com.
Thanks, Brian. I should have asked Brian.
We should have asked Brian. But anybody who is listening, or whether they listen to the podcast next week when this goes live, if you haven't got an Even Heat and you want one, and you really do need one, we can get you a discount too. We can get you $75 off and free shipping in the US. Mareko's got his there. I think Mareko's got a few. I know Jeff's got a few. But everybody uses Even Heats. We can get you $75 off and free shipping in the US by shopping with Soul Ceramics. And you can get that discount by going to knifetalk.net/heat. And when you go to checkout, you can build, you know, the spec that you want, whether it's the 120, the 240, the chamber size, whatever you want. They'll build it for you, and we'll apply that discount automatically at checkout. So that's knifetalk.net/heat. We've had lots of stuff going on here in the chat. Scott Gregan have said, have you seen Mert's Damascus? It looks amazing. I know Mert is exhibiting today, so we're hoping Mert's going to come in on the show today at some point.
We got Nico in the room too. I think Scott's in this show somewhere. We need to talk to these guys.
Hey, yeah, if you guys want to grab one of them, I'm going to head to my booth. It was so awesome to talk to you guys, and absolute pleasure to meet all three of you. Thank you so much,
man. Thank you for coming on. You were great. Come on, good luck today and give him hell.
One more thing, Nate. One more thing.
Oh no.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to play you off. There's a vote going on at the moment for people's favourite knives. We're going to give you 20 seconds to give your passioned plea to get people to vote for you. Really sex this up. Really sex up these knives. Get people voting. What do we think?
Oh, jeez. You just put me on the spot. I don't even know what to say. So just from the bottom of my heart, look at these beautiful pink flowers. Yeah, if you like flowers and you like sharp, shiny things, I'm your man. Come check out my knives. Vote for me. It's just you're helping me continue my lifelong passion to make things to slice up food.
Cool. Lovely to speak to you, Nate.
Hey, awesome. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Bye-bye. This is working really well, this whole video.
Dude, this is great. If you're going to pull someone in, pull Nico in. Nico is the future.
There
Nico is the future.
You already got me blushing, Jeff. Cut it out.
How dare you? The future is here. The future is here. The young future out of Detroit.
Thanks, guys.
Nicolaitis.
Close. Nicolaitis. Yeah. How's everyone doing?
Closer. We're all good.
How are you?
We're all good.
I like these virtual shows. I get to hang out on my couch all day.
Yeah, and you drinking beer too.
It's an energy drink. I knew I was going to need it. The beer's coming soon.
Okay.
The first time I ever went to Blade Show, I bumped into Nico right off the bat, and we were walking around. We had such a good time. You and Eric. Eric are Eric Hemker. Yeah. Hemker. Good dudes.
I was hanging out with Eric last night. Great
Two good dudes from Michigan. Yeah. Nico's the future, man. He's the young future.
So you exhibited knives today, Nico?
Yes, sir.
Have you got any with you? Any with you at the moment?
Yeah, I got them right behind the TV.
Let's have a look.
I got this one. This is a Bjorkman's twist pattern with some double-dyed box elder and carbon fiber spacer, like 8 inches. And then the other one,
Well, Nico, just while you're doing that, what's your Instagram? Scott in the chat is asking what your Instagram is so we can see more of your stuff.
Nicolaitis Knives. I'll tag it after I'm done showing these off.
Cool.
Nicolaitis.
And then like a bunka kind of Guido style.
Yeah, Nico's, how old are you, Nico?
24.
24. This guy's been at it for a while. Young guy, just it's really awesome watching the stuff that you do. You do a lot of forge integrals, a lot of mosaic Damascus. It's just really awesome to see everything that you're doing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, Instagram started for me as just kind of sharing me figuring stuff out, and now it's all the forging and all the mosaics and Damascus stuff is just my jam at this point. That's what I like to do.
Yeah. Who's your usual customer? And is it mainly coming from Instagram?
Yeah. It's mostly chefs. I stopped doing custom orders last year, but when I did, they were mostly chefs. They're people just looking for like nice gifts, or looking for a knife for their kitchen or something kind of heirloom quality. It has some kind of sentimental meaning. That was my general customer.
Yeah. And so how did that start? I mean, it's not the normal thing for, 20-year-olds to get into, forging knives. What got you into that kind of thing?
A childhood passion for swords and knives. If kids have their thing of like maybe dinosaurs, astronauts. Mine was like medieval times and like knights in armor. So I've always kind of been into that. And my background is more advanced machining and manufacturing stuff. And I got tired of that industry. Everyone else was like 30 years older than me and all crabby. So I'm like, I'll find something else to do. And videos on YouTube, just like knife videos on YouTube is how I got into it. Like Walter Sorrell's videos. I think Alec was doing like daily vlogs when I started, like way back. So just kind of figuring it out in my backyard as I was like doing stuff, and just kind of kept stepping it up throughout the months and years.
That's awesome.
One of the things that I like about your work when I look at your work is you do these beautiful knives with beautiful Damascus, and you're not afraid of adding a little bit of color to the handles, which sometimes is almost, a lot of people would think, well, why are you, you're kind of gilding the lily. But when you do it, it always seems very appropriate. You want to just kind of talk about that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. With all the Damascus patterns, I kind of try to pair them up to me what seems appealing. So sometimes they do get a little gaudy and a little crazy looking, but I like that. I personally like the loud kind of aesthetic if it fits. And then there's sometimes I'll, subtle it down, just like a high layer count with some micarta or G10 or a simple like maple burl. But I like color. I like the kind of loud vibrancy that it has. So sometimes a piece of wood will kind of speak to a pattern that I'm working on, and I just have a box full of wood, and I'll just pick what kind of seems right for that particular knife.
Yeah, cool.
Like, I'm looking at one of your pieces right now that really kind of is quite amazing. It's a
Jeff's got his art hat on. He's looking at one of your pieces and he's stroking his chin.
Could you just calm the fuck down, for God's sakes? I mean, what do you want? Come on, man. I'm just saying that like there's this one piece. It's an integral bolster with this Bluebird G Carta, and it's got this like radiating pattern radiating away from the bolster. The handle, and it really is a very bold choice. It's a bold choice, and it's just like, but it like works great.
Yeah, that one was fun because that pattern was so. I think I know which one you're talking about. It's just it was a super dense body to the bar, and then I did an edge bar of like Twisted Firestorm. So just really, really dense pattern, and I wanted the handle to kind of scream, like just a bold handle to kind of play off of that really, really dense, complicated pattern that kind of was going on. And it just felt right. And I like that piece a lot.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's like I said, it radiates, and but a lot of people wouldn't make that decision because I think that there's a lot of people who would, like I would say, it was like, you got a lot going on here, but I'm glad that you embraced it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to make a big thing of your age because obviously your knives completely stand up for themselves anyway. But the same question I asked Nate, is that something that you haven't tackled yet where you're thinking, I'm not quite there yet? Anything like that at all?
For sure, yeah. I think in terms of like Damascus making, probably stainless. I mess around with mosaic patterns a lot, and that's still quite daunting for me, but stainless Damascus is kind of something I legitimately am afraid to try. Of like, this is just all going to crumble and I'm going to make a mess and waste a few $100s on material. So that one's pretty high up there on my list of stuff to attempt. Yeah. And then like non-general knife stuff, like pretty much all of the stuff I make is kitchen knives. And so it'd be, I have it on my list for maybe this year of like doing like a sword or like a big Bowie project that is just still in my style of like all integral, all Damascus, but just not a kitchen knife.
Right.
Would probably challenge me more than anything because I'm just so used to my kitchen knife kind of formula of making stuff.
Cool. We are going to ask anybody in the chat room if they've got any questions for Nico. If you have, put them down there. Put them straight through.
I want to give Nico some props. I'm going to show this. Hopefully this shows up. Ooh. It's in his Instagram feed. And the finish, we were just talking previously about having a hard time keeping that 15 and 20 clean and bright like that. Yeah. Do you have any tips to share?
Sure, yeah. So I think, and you've shared so much with the coffee over the years, and you and I had conversations about this years ago, and I've had to play off the recipe too, but it's like the long cold soak is really nice in coffee, and it lets you kind of play with how far it's going. Another recent thing that I discovered is like the sunshine cloths. They're like for jewelry. They're like microfiber kind of cloths with very, very, very fine abrasive in there. And you can rub the heck out of a Damascus pattern, and it won't really eat away at the dark layer on your 1084. So if you have a good dark layer that you have built up that you like, but you might have like some smudges on the 15 and 20, if you give it a sunshine cloth kind of rub down carefully, you can kind of clean off that surface. But then also it's a multiple trial and error kind of thing. Like you'll get a pretty perfect edge and there'll be like one spot that is just like missing the kind of contrast. So it's a trial and error, but like long soaps, clean steel, polishing at different grits too. Like I go and do etching from like in ferric from like 600 to 800 to 15 or to 1,000 to 15. That's helped me build up a nice clean consistency on the steel as like a base. And then when you go into the coffee, I've had way better luck with that. And then I just leave it in the coffee for about 12 hours and then let it like air dry and then wipe it clean and all that.
You pull it out of the coffee and neutralize it, then let it air dry, or you just pull it straight out of the coffee and let it air dry?
So yeah, I'll pull it out and just rinse it off. Like I used to do like a soapy water rinse off to neutralize it, and I would end up wiping it away. And then I realized if I just wash it off, make sure all the coffee is off at least, and then let it dry, and I can come back in with that sunshine cloth and any kind of the oxidation that comes up, it's just, you can just kind of shine it away with the cloth.
Nice.
Cool. We're going to give you the same opportunity that we gave Nate. We're going to give you 30 seconds to really... There's a vote going on. So anybody who's in the chat here, anybody who's at the show, they get to vote for their favourite knife. So we're going to give you 30 seconds, really sex it up, really sell these knives. But first, how many have you got available first?
Just the two.
The two. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. 30 seconds. Sex it up. Tell us what you got.
Oh, no. I'm not good at self-promo, guys. I don't know. Vote for whatever you think looks the best. There's a bunch of talented makers, and they all deserve your vote. If you feel like you
that's the corporate line. That's the corporate line.
Come on,
sell your stuff. Come on.
Come on, man. This is a podcast. This isn't like, come on, man. It's a dating website, for Christ's sake.
I get enough of the dating websites. I don't need to do this on a podcast.
Dang, girl. Hey, I got a question. Last question before you go.
Yeah.
Are you Greek?
Yeah, half Greek, half Mexican.
Have you ever been to both of these?
No, fuck off. No.
Nico's the man. I love Nico. He's a good dude. Good dude.
Good to chat with you.
Good to talk to you, fellas.
Cheers, Nico.
You're the man.
Bye-bye.
You're the man, Nico. That was... The answer was both of these nuts.
You're determined to get that joke out, didn't you?
he fucking... I thought if I can't get I mean, how many Greek guys are you going to get in here that can get both of these? He had me, too. It was good. Fuck off. He might have heard that a million times. He's the best. God damn.
Shall we take some questions that we've had on Instagram this week?
There's one in the chat that's great.
Yeah, sure.
From
Which one?
Theodore Zhang.
Ah, yeah, Theodore Zhang. Do you want to read that one out, Mareko?
Yes. Question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It says, question for everyone. Is it possible to generalize and say that it's easier or more difficult to work with stainless Damascus rather than carbon steel? Or do knife makers, purists, quote unquote, still prefer to work with carbon steel? You guys have anything, or should I get?
Well, I mean, I don't make Damascus. I only do monosteels, but working with stainless is certainly harder, even with a monosteel. The heat treat isn't as forgiving. Much higher temperatures. Oxidization can be a problem. So you're using, whether you use inert ovens or using foil wraps or whatever you use, or a coating. There's just a lot more work going into it, and the finish is a lot harder to get a good finish on a stainless. Whether it's the chromium in there, and it's just difficult. So yeah, a lot more time is taken, and I'd imagine pretty much the same with Damascus. But I'll leave that to Jeff and Mareko to talk about.
I mean, I don't really worry about what other people say. I mean, my customers generally are mostly first time custom knife buyers, and a lot of them might be home cooks and whatever, and they might not, most of them don't know about carbon steel in general. So I wanted to be able to give my customer something that they could feel comfortable using. So I would say 95% of my knives are stainless steel in general, and they are harder to finish. But I like the fact that my customers feel comfortable in not having to worry about whether they're going to rust or they're going to patina or whatever like that. I like the fact that I can give that option. And the problem is it is harder. Like I get a carbon steel knife order and I'm just like, whew, this is going to be a little bit easier of a day of hand sanding and grinding, but my customers really like it. And I could give a shit what, purists think, but at the same time, it's still a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to stainless Damascus versus carbon Damascus is definitely way easier to finish, to grind, to heat treat, everything. Just like Craig and Jeff were both saying, there's just a lot more that goes into those various processes. And like Nico was saying a little bit ago, is he's legitimately terrified of making stainless. And I honestly myself am afraid of making stainless Damascus as well, because there's such a narrow window. It's like only 200 degrees that you can work that steel in, and you have to somehow run an oxygen-free environment, and it's incredibly expensive. Like some bills can be upwards of like $800 for something that might yield maybe one knife or two knives. And so, and like Craig was saying, it's those chrome carbides, especially in a higher carbon stainless, like the Damasteel, like it's more, it takes a lot more elbow grease, but the results you get at the end and how it looks and how that sustains that appearance over time is honestly, I mean, I think that's definitely the way that things are going to be. You're going to see in possibly as early as the next 5 years, half of the market is stainless Damascus, if not more.
Yeah.
I just think that's the future.
Yeah, I mean, some of these, these super stainless, they may call them. This is all down to sort of technologies that didn't exist, over time. So, traditionally people would have had high carbon steel knives, but now we're seeing more and more stainless. And as Mareko said, we're going to go more and more that way as more steels are developed as well. But what I find is with stainless, it's the hand sanding at the end that is always the biggest problem.
Right.
But you know what I use? A tip.
What do you use?
This is a tip for anybody listening. I use Rhino Wet from Indasa, which is by far the best sandpaper you could ever use. It lasts forever. It's quicker, so it saves you money, saves you time. But we can get you a discount too. If you go to TexasFarrierSupply.com, they sell a Rhino Wet, which is made by Indasa. They sell Rhino Wet in various grits, and you can get 10% off if you use Knife Talk 10. And whilst you're there at Texas Farrier Supply, have a look at the other stuff they sell. Lots of stuff for knife makers, blacksmiths, that kind of thing. 10% off the whole order with Knife Talk 10.
Nice.
If you were to pull someone in, Aiden is Cutthroat Knives. He's Aiden McKinnon.
Aiden, would you like to jump in? Let us know. Let us know in the chat, and I can drag you in.
I think he is in the chat. It says, "Are we allowed to jump in?" He'd be good to talk to.
Let's see if he's still there. Let's have a look.
A quick note on Texas Farrier Supply. So we were talking to Nate earlier about integrals and cleaning up the different transitions. And Texas Ferry Supply sells carbide file guides, and that is great for clamping onto the bolster and cleaning up the bottom of the bolster. And so you can also save a little bit of cash with those guys too.
Aiden's left us. He's not here, so I can't bring him into the chat for a moment.
Eddie Jitz is in the house. One of our oldest listeners. Eddie Jitz is here. That's Edward.
He's
Edward
probably
R.
younger than you.
Edward? Eddie Jitz is not younger than me, I don't think. He's an old listener.
Not many are. Not many are.
How dare you? How dare you? It's an outrage.
Let's take a question that we've had on Instagram this week. Brigham Kindle. Can I ask you a question? Whose work inspires you the most? And we'll take this for people in the chat as well. So put down who's inspiring you. Eddie Jitz is 45, you son of a bitch.
Come on, Eddie. Come in and talk to us. Hang out with us for a second.
Would you like to come in, Eddie? If so, just say yes, and I'll bring you into the chat.
Yeah, Eddie, come on, man.
Put some pants on first, obviously.
Hey, come on, Eddie.
Pants on, shirt off.
Put some pants on, Eddie. Come on in. That's not normally what Craig says. Craig doesn't ask you to put your pants on first.
you know, I am fuming. So, did you? You probably know what I'm talking about. There's a comment left on Jeff's podcast feed the other day where Jeff would put up a picture of me, and somebody wrote, I was fuming. He looks like the butch one in a lesbian couple.
That's outrage.
I was outraged and fuming.
And it was I saw it, and I don't know where it was. I saw it and I thought, this was a lazy joke.
You thought, I'm going to pin this to the top so everybody sees it. I know what you did.
It's a lazy joke because I already made that joke years ago where he said he looked like Katie Lang. So he just ripped up my joke and then put it out of his own. I thought that was a poor thing to do.
Eddie's in. I can't get you in, Ed. So what you need to do, you need to request to be in, and I can drag you in then. I'm not sure how it works your end, but there should be a button somewhere that request to be in or whatever it is. I don't know.
I got to tell you, I like this whole thing. I like having live chats. I think this is a really, really neat thing.
It's cool. Yeah. Well, whilst we're waiting for Eddie to do that, if he wants to, let's answer that question from Brigham Kindle. Whose work inspires you the most? And again, the people in the chat, put down who's inspiring you. And let's start with Jeff. Who is inspiring you?
I got to tell you, I still to this day, I mean, I love all these guys. It's just hard to say one person, but every time I see Nick Angers' knives, there's just, and when I talk to him and stuff like that, there's something that's more, oh, look who's here. It's Eddie Jitz. Eddie Jitz is in the house.
You're on the show, Eddie. How are you?
Hi, man. Good. How you guys?
We're good. You can answer a question for us. Your audio isn't the best, so we'll try and keep it short. Whose work is inspiring you the most?
Whose work?
Yeah.
For kitchen knives, I'd have to say Don. Don went to killing it lately. Just his attention to detail, his design, and really how much thought he puts into each build. We don't see that a lot in kitchen knife or any other genre of the knife world right now, really. So yeah, he's absolutely crushing it. He's helped me out a ton. Hanging out with him at the late show.
Cool. What are you working on at the moment, Ed?
Funny you mention that. I'm actually working on one of those Damascus copper knives.
The farther away he is, the better he sounds. Eddie, the farther away you are, the better you sound.
Oh, look at that.
That's awesome.
Let me see if I can switch it down. I've got it on the jam box right now.
Oh, yeah.
You're gone. We don't hear you.
Eddie's the man. Eddie's a good dude. He makes awesome folders, and he's just a super dude. Came to Doghouse to say hello when I was down there, and Eddie's the man.
Yeah. Well, we're going to leave you to it, Ed, and thanks for listening.
Oh, there's some good people. People are saying John Worthington, Mert Tansu, Dan Bittinger, Noah Vachon.
Another one for Noah. Yeah.
There's Matt Parkinson if we want to try to get Matt in. Matt's the man.
Yeah, it's difficult for me to bring people in if they aren't one of the exhibitors.
Wolfgang Lorschner, that's good. There's some pretty hard to beat names in this. That's the hardest part. It's like you can't just name one. You can't name one. I mean, I got to have a pile of them.
Well, you're gonna have to. I'm gonna flip it back to you. Let's start with Mareko first. Mareko, your biggest inspiration in the knife world.
Biggest inspiration. I'm gonna say. I mean, I have a ton, of course, but I'm going to say Peter Johnson is a major inspiration. Especially regarding this sword stuff I'm doing right now. I mean, not only, and Matt can speak to this, but I think he's not only like the leading scholar in the world about swords, but he's also possibly one of the, at least around European style swords, he's one of the most, if not the most talented maker in the world. And his stuff is just breathtaking. Yeah.
And speaking of talented makers, we're fortunate to have Matthew Parkinson. Matt Parkinson of Dragon's Breath Forge. What's up, Matt? How are you?
Not too much. I'm good. Good.
You're very laid back there, Matt.
It's been fun so far.
Very laid back on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm like super far away from the computer. It's weird. I'm like just chilling. You know? Drinking my coffee, in about 20 minutes I'll switch to whiskey and it'll be good.
Nice.
There you go.
We're going to throw the same question to you that we've just been talking about, is whose work is inspiring you the most?
Right now I really forever it's been Wolfgang Walker. He's amazing. Who else? Quisenberry does some pretty cool stuff. Lynn Ray, I really enjoy his work as well for forging stuff. I don't know.
Hard to beat those.
I kind of look through the feed, and I kind of look through my feed and just go, cool, and that's kind of the deal.
Yeah, yeah.
For sword stuff, there's a bunch of European guys I follow. There's let's see, Gael Fab Brown, I think his last name is. And then there's the brothers down in South America that just build some beautiful stuff. And again, as Mareko said, Peter Johnson is just Peter. Like, he's just a whole nother level of sword maker, you know.
Yeah.
Cool. And then Owen Bush, he's another one I'm following. He's really a talented guy.
Yeah. What's that behind you, Matt, with the numbers? Why are they labeled up that way? Are they available?
That's just what I have. Yeah, these are all the ones for the show.
Right,
the ones I made for the invitation.
Can you bring them closer?
What the numbers are.
Can you bring them closer to the camera? Is there any way?
For you to make them rearrange everything?
No, I'm not going to,
Craig. Wow.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So this was the Baldar pattern, forged, not crazy forged to shape because it's the curry, but I did do stretch the edge bevel out a little bit and forge the secondary bevel up here, forge the tang out, and then the handle is stabilized black birch, G10 spacer, and then stabilized dyed maple burl.
Nice. We may have quite a few knife makers listening who maybe haven't used Damasteel before. Have you got any tips for those who haven't used Damasteel specifically before?
Don't be an idiot and forge it like me. It's like hitting a brick, you know. Forge is okay, but it is stiff as hell. It's actually, for stainless, reasonably easy to work with. It's not too bad to heat treat. It hasn't really worked much on me. I think I had one that moved a little bit. I was able to straighten it in temper, and it wasn't bad. Honestly, ABL gives me way more balls trying to get it heat treating straight than this stuff did.
One of the things, Craig, that pardon me, sorry,
a little deeper. It does seem to decarb a little deeper, but not much.
I was just going to say that I'm very impressed with. I was going through Damasteel's videos today on their website, and they have really good details on how to etch. There's a lot of safety and how to etch properly. I really thought they were helpful because I didn't realize. I know I talked to Fingal about using muriatic acid, but there was one about getting different colors out of getting it darker by doing a secondary etch with ferric. After the muriatic, you use a little bit of ferrichloride and vinegar. They're very good about giving you as much information as possible. I was surprised.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see like what kind of range and kind of color and texture you can get depending on which etchant you use, which is much more so than I think with carbon steel Damascus. You know, you kind of are stuck with black and gray with that. This you can kind of, if you polish it really, really well and then etch, I believe it's in muriatic, it'll just go like hazed. It'll be a really bright pattern, but it's like really polished still, which you can't really get away with in ferric with carbon steels in the same way. The one I've been doing is I've been doing like 15 or 20 minutes in muriatic from like 1500 grit, and then into I take it out from that. I back sand at 2000, and then I go into vinegar ferric mix, and that gives me a nice dark background with it's very stable, which I was surprised at how stable the black is. Other stainless Damascus I've used, the black has not been nearly as stable as this one.
One of the things they were saying is after you pull it out of the ferric vinegar, you immediately wipe it down, spray it down with WD-40 and leave it alone for an overnight. And that's what kind of helps hold the dark color. But that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I haven't noticed that necessarily needing to be done. I kind of did the ferric vinegar, pull it out. I shoot it down with Windex and kind of give it a dip in some muddy water that Morocco left in the shop. It's still there. It was just baking soda water. It's kind of been added to a few times, but it's the same one.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I've got a tip for you,
Matt.
Yeah,
I give it a shake off in that, and then I spray it down with Windex, and then oil it, and it seems to be fine.
Cool. I've got a tip for you, Matt, as well. A Damasteel tip. Next time you buy Damasteel, use the code KnifeTalk10, and you're going to get 10% off your order. Don't tell the world. This is a secret. Nobody else is listening. It's fine. We're good. KnifeTalk10, and you will get 10% off your order at Damasteel if you have an account with Damasteel.
It's a big deal. This stuff is not inexpensive, so that's a big deal. 10% off.
10% off is a huge deal. 10% off is a giant deal if you can get the Damasteel.
Yeah. I think I bought one bar and it was like $800 and $900 or something. Yeah. We're like, that's probably one of the reasons I forge it, because I'm cheap.
Get more out of it.
Get more knives out of the same bar.
Yeah. What's the favorite knife that you're exhibiting today? Have you got a favorite?
Actually, the Nikiri I think is my favorite. I really like this one. It just came out with really clean lines. It made the knife that was in my head, which doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give you 15 seconds. We're coming down in time each time. 15 seconds to sell yourself, because there's a vote going on, and you can win a prize, and the people voting can win a prize as well for the best knife in show.
I'm horrible at this. Don't make me do this.
Come on, sell yourself. This is the platform. This is the platform. The number one knife podcast in the world. This is the platform.
Yeah. No.
Why should people vote for you?
Because I'm pathetic? I don't know.
That's a good reason. That's a good reason. It's a good reason.
I'm a sad, chubby guy. Vote for me. I have a good beard. I have really awesome long hair. And I make awesome knives.
There we go.
That's a great reason.
There we go. We're going to be impartial.
Was that 15 seconds? I don't even know.
We're going to be impartial, but I think you probably will have the best beard on show today.
You have no idea.
Well,
you have no idea.
I
there could be some real good ones coming up. You never know.
Cool. Right. Thanks, Matt. Hopefully we'll speak again on the show at some point. Have a good show. And everybody, definitely. If you're interested in Matt's knives, if you go to the knives page, there'll be a link there, and you can buy them directly from Matt.
Yeah, Matt's great.
I'm popping back over in my boots, so it's good talking to you guys.
Cheers, bye-bye.
Jeff.
Give him hell.
Cool. This is working really well. Can I try something a second? Because
go ahead.
It says to me, if I double click on one of you, you'll go full screen and you'll take over. So let me just try it. I'm going to click on Morocco and just. Jeff, do you see Morocco full screen, or is it just me?
No.
Okay.
Just you.
It's just me. Okay, no worries. Okay, where were we? We were talking about work that inspires you the most and whose work inspires you the most. Morocco, we had you. Jeff.
It's just hard to be. It's just I come at it from a different point of view. Like, you know, I have so many people that I'm inspired by, but it's like I like certain attitudes. And Nick Angier's attitude is like kind of more in regards to what I want to do. So I think that, I mean, I would say his attitude and his execution and everything like that is pretty much, I would say Nick.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat for me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Shall we try something a little bit different?
Go ahead.
Because we've got video today, and we don't normally have video. So I thought, let's try something.
God, it's cold in my shop.
So bear with me. This may not work. So we've done quizzes before, but this time it's with video.
Oh my. If you're listening to this, there's a screen and Craig it says Millionaire Special Edition, and he's about to play, I think, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Is it backwards by any chance?
No, it is not backwards.
Oh, it is for me. Okay. So we're going to do a quiz, right? It's 5 questions each, that's all.
Okay.
They're difficult, but you have 2 lifelines. So we could phone a friend live on the show. Maybe they could help you out. Or you can ask the audience, so those in the chat room. So those in the chat room, if you know the answer, don't just put it down unless they specifically asked for help from the audience.
After we play, maybe we should have first person to answer the question in the chat comes on the show.
Good. Well, I've got something planned for that.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll leave you alone.
Okay.
I know that was you know what you should do. I apologize.
So Mark LeBlanc has just messaged us on Knife Talk saying he's loving the show, so it's good. We got people listening on Instagramming us as well, which is cool. Who would like to go first, Jeff or Morocco, for 5 questions?
After you, sir. After you, please.
Okay.
Morocco, are you ready?
First loser, here he comes.
First one is pretty simple. The first one is, which of these phrases is a common way of saying, I can't take it anymore? That's the last stick. That's the last leaf. That's the last straw. Or, I'm moving to Canada.
That's a hard one. It could be D, it could be C. I'm going to say, though, that you're looking for C.
C. Correct. 1 out of 1. All good. Right.
That's the last straw.
They're getting progressively harder.
Okay.
So the next one.
Nervous.
What is the name of the character played by Daisy Ridley in Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker? Is it Do, Rey, Mi, or Fa?
B, Rey.
Correct. Getting through these very quickly. Okay. Now we're getting into, really difficult territory now. Remember, you've got 2 lifelines. There's only 5 questions.
Right.
The lifelines are call somebody live on the show or ask the audience. Question 3. In, I think it's Hokusai's print, The Great Wave, which mountain is depicted in the background? You know that beautiful one with the blue and white? It's very sort of Japanesey. Is it Mount Emai?
It's quite Japanese.
Japanese. That's my art talk. Mount, is it A, Mount Emai or Emai? Is it Mount Kailash? Is it Mount Fuji? Or is it Mount Sinai?
C, Mount Fuji.
Correct. Wow. You've got 2 questions left and you've got 2 lifelines left.
How much money does he make already? Is he up to a certain amount of money yet?
No money.
Oh, what?
It's just 5.
I thought maybe there was
There's just 5 questions, basically.
Oh.
So now they're getting difficult. Question number 4. Okay. The liqueur creme de cassis is made from which fruit? Is it apples, pears, blackcurrants, or gooseberries? Remember, you've got a phone a friend, and you also have an ask the audience.
Oh, and it's one and done, isn't it?
Once you're done, you're out. If it's wrong, you're out.
If you get it wrong, you're out. Okay, I'm gonna phone a friend then.
Ooh.
Are we doing this through Instagram?
Yes.
Let's see if this works. Okay.
Who would you like to call?
I'm looking for, his name is Shilpy. His handle is Sedge Brews.
Don't look at the chat.
Don't look at what are these people doing spoiling it in the chat?
See, this is the reason why, Justin. This is the reason why you get the hook when he has you on the goddamn show, Justin. This is why you get the hook.
To be fair, I was already leaning towards that, but
fine.
We're going to call a friend and see what they say.
Justin,
so, what is their handle, Mareko?
It's Sedge Brews. SEDGEBREWS. So how's this? If it goes to him, now it's all up. It's in his hands. If he gets it right,
fine.
We move on. If he gets it wrong, I'm done.
We're making a call. We're making the call. So it's Shilpy.
I like your blind faith.
What if he doesn't answer?
If he doesn't answer,
I didn't prompt him.
You're out. It's ringing. It's ringing. Right. Shh, now. Don't give him anything away.
We should have called Jason Knight.
Shilpy.
What's up?
Shilpy, can you hear me?
I can. Oh, shit. Turn this off.
It's Craig Lockwood here from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. We've got your friend Mareko with us live in the studio, and he's stuck on a question. And he's asked you to help him out. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and that'll start now.
Okay.
The liqueur creme de cassis is made from which fruit? Is it A, apples, B, pears, C, blackcurrant, or D, gooseberries?
Blackcurrant.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, indeed.
Good job.
Good job. Good job,
Thank you.
Thank you for helping out. Thank you. Bye for now.
Good job.
And he's gone. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was perfect.
You did a great job on that one, Craig.
This is tense.
So if you're listening to this,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, if you're listening to this from the future, there's where the three of us can see each other. Craig has got, like he always does, he got his fingers on the buttons and his dick on the space bar. We got a live chat, and he's calling people from Instagram. I salute you, and I give you a golf clap. This is so far so great.
So this is the final question. This is the $1 million question, and you have an Ask the Audience. So audience, people in the chat, don't give any answers out yet. Let's build a little bit of tension. Number 5. Who wrote the opera The Thieving Magpie? Is it A, Rossini, B, Verdi, C, Donizetti, or D, Puccini?
May I just ask a question? How does it go in 5 questions from like a ridiculously easy one to an impossible one? It's like exponential growth and impossibility.
Wait and see your questions. Let's see.
I'm
screwed.
Hey, Justin Lemieux, what do you think now, Justin? What's your answer now, Justin? God damn it.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the audience. I'm gonna need some help from the audience.
Put Justin on the spot.
Chat.
He's got all the answers.
Chat, let us know. They're all googling it. Let's face it. They're all sitting at home. They're all googling.
There's A, C, B. Everyone's Rossini.
Right.
Everyone's.
I'm gonna go Rossini.
5 out of 5.
Damn! Listen, who gave you the Scott Kraken? Scott Kraken with the big help. Here he is.
Yeah.
I'll keep.
Oh, everybody knew it.
There we go.
Everybody knew it. He's because they're all googling it.
Also, I just want to give a quick shout out to Shilpy. Thank you, Shilpy. He is the head brewer at Logston Brewery, and he is a very smart guy. And I knew he would know that answer. And so I thank you so much, Shilpy. You're the man.
5 out of 5 for Mareko. Shall we go straight to Jeff, or should we keep that for later in the show?
You know what? Why don't we keep it? Because I thought I saw one of the guests, John Phillips, might be around.
Let's have a look.
John, are you still here? Because you're in the show. John's a great dude.
John, if you're in, make a request to be in the show, and let's have a chat. Let's see some of your knives.
Yeah, you can get me later. Who wants to be a millionaire?
5 out of 5. Jeff, you're up against it here.
Oh, I'm done. It's over. It's over. The last one, you can just forget it.
You might want to start prepping some of your friends ready for a phone call.
I'm not prepping. You know, here's what I'm telling you right now.
Googling all the answers for him.
I'm not Googling shit. I'm going to tell you right now, my phone a friend will be, and I have not asked. I'm going to give you the choice. You can cold call Nick Wheeler or you can cold call Jason Knight. I didn't ask either one of them. They have no idea. That might be funny. That will be my phone a friend.
We shall give it a go.
Nick Wheeler is the first call.
Okay, we shall give it a go. Okay, now what we'll do, we'll take a question from Instagram that we've had. And this is from Sasha Rosenfeld. A question for everybody. So people in the chat, if you've got an answer to these questions, please let us know, because we don't know everything, and it's good to have lots of answers to things. Question for everyone, but especially Mareko. Have you experienced any staining on the 15N20 of your Damascus after a coffee etch? I've been pulling my knives from the coffee, rinsing in tap water, putting it in the neutralizer, then air drying, but I keep ending up with a very resistant yellow stain. That's what she said. On the 15N20.
That's outrage.
Any ideas?
That's an outrage.
So this is basically the third time we've broached this subject. This is the staining we were talking about earlier on the 15 and 20. And I would say we basically covered that with Nico. He did a really good job explaining how he does it using the yellow sunshine cloths, the jewelry like polishing cloths. I bought a 20 pack of those things for like $10 off of Amazon.
Oh wow!
So
they're impregnated with some like a very light grit, I assume, is it?
Yeah, it's super fine polishing. Yeah, and they're a super soft polishing cloth with an ultra fine abrasive in them, and if you gently just kind of with just one finger, maybe a couple light fingers, and gently rub it around, it'll help pull that out.
You're killing me, Mareko.
That's the Roy Scott move. That's what you do. This is the Roy Scott does. Little finger on the gotcha.
Do we have any other exhibitors in the room that would like to chat with us? If so, just say yes in the Aiden, you're already there. Okay.
Oh yeah, Aiden, we had you and then you'd left.
Let's try.
You couldn't wait around forever.
Fine. Aiden's the man. John,
hey guys.
For a second.
Aiden's here.
There he is.
He's got a neon in his shop. Look at that. That's high level stuff.
Yeah, I need something to blind people instead of looking at me.
This is
So how are you?
You're in complete darkness there.
Yeah, I like it better in the dark. It's better. It's better for everybody. I'm not. The problem is like this is the most. I had a real problem yesterday being in a chair when it was bright, and now I feel like I'm in this very protective cocoon. It's a problem. It's a problem later in life.
You've swaddled yourself.
I've gotten to the point now where it's just like this Jeep's going to last for a long time now because, it'll be like dead in this area if I'm going to keep going. So, how are you, Aiden?
I'm good. It's been really nice. I've been trying to whenever I had no one in my store, I was like, okay, I'll go over and listen to you guys for a little bit. It's good. You guys are I don't think people, if you haven't heard it enough, you guys are like the company that, for most knife makers. Knife making is a really solitary thing. And so, having three, dudes just chat in your ear the whole time actually kind of takes away from a lot of that. So, thanks from myself as a knife maker and, for what you guys do. It's great.
We're boring and monotonous, so you get through lots of work. Well, I know what you mean. It's fine. So what are you exhibiting today? How many knives have you got up?
I've got 3 knives. One of them's already sold.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'll show the other ones. So it's a K-tip Kyoto with a G10 keyhole bolster and then mother of pearl inlay.
Wow.
And then
nice.
That's pressure fit. So this is a kind of good one. This might work for Mareko as well. I've started lining my sires with Ultra Suede. So Ultra Suede is a Japanese synthetic material, and it doesn't pill, it doesn't fray, and it doesn't stain, and it's really, really, really soft. And because it's ultra thin, you can really play around with getting a perfect kind of pressure fit.
Nice
design.
Ultra Suede.
The logo that you've got on the sire. How have you done that?
Yeah. So this was CNC cut in, and then I lasered out some of the mother of pearl and inlaid in that, and then cast over that with resin.
Beautiful.
So Aiden runs Cutthroat Knives in Cutthroat, Australia. He's got a really very great style. And it's interesting, Craig, that you say that because I think you used to use a spray paint stencil on your sires. Am I wrong?
I do. I still do on my normal. This is custom work.
Right.
On my normal ones, I still 100% use spray paint over.
I love that.
Like a stencil. It was, gratuitously stolen off my wine stock, that spray painted sire design. And then I decided to put my logo on there as well, so I didn't feel like I was a complete ripoff. It's just, like knife making is like 90%, just feeling like you've stolen everybody else's work, and then 10% originality.
Yes. We chatted about that on yesterday's show. We were talking about it, and I've sort of purposely stopped following knife makers now and more sort of following chefs, people who would use the knife, because it's so easy to be, it's nice to be inspired. But as we've talked about already again today, there's so many things you can do with something sharp and pointy. And it's difficult not to feel as if you're copying, like you said. Yeah, it's a difficult one.
But also, none of us invented the knife. Like, none of us invented the knife.
Jeff's old. Jeff's proper old. He might have.
We're all putting our interpretation on this craft. And it's a very derivative craft. We can't escape that. There are a handful of people that I would consider doing really interesting forward-leaning work. I don't do that much Damascus purely because I would feel like what I would be doing is derivative. It would be so hard for me to go, okay, I'm going to do this without going, cool, I'm going to sit down and make one of Mareko's pieces. I've got some stuff that I'm working on, but that's, it's a while away because you go, how do I do this and put my interpretation on this where I don't feel like I'm just copying other people's work? On that note, I will show you the other one because this is a little bit kind of crazy and weird. So this is the Kraken, which is the other knife that I've got. So this is a resin cast handle, and that's cast directly onto the knife itself. And so you can see the tang itself has been laser engraved because you're casting directly on there. And I really love the idea of playing around with the tang being just as much of a feature of the knife as the rest of it.
Wow.
And then the sire's made of fake ivory that's been scrimshaw engraved. And the blade has also been laser engraved.
Nice.
I got to tell you,
I love how it's coming from the bolster as well, the engraving. That's really nice.
Thank you.
That to me is one of the hardest things because when I use any kind of hybrid material, I don't want the tang to be visible through the, to make the tang part of the view and to put something on there so the viewer has to see the tang and it's meant to be seen. That's a really, really, really smart move. Great decision.
And I think it's only just beginning. As soon as I got a really large pressure pot, so 40-liter. When you feel that thing, that's like a bomb sitting right next to you. It is terrifying when that gets to 40 psi. Like my heart races every time. You're like, cool. If the seals break on this, I'm dead straight away. But you can build the mold around it. I'll go grab one of my knives where it kind of makes more sense.
So basically, what he's saying is he's the pressure pots fit to your. This is for painters.
It fits the whole knife. So this is the mold that's been built around that. Yeah. And then I can fill this up with resin. And then you carve away from the whole thing. And you can also, with this one, it's got floating pins. And so those pins are shaped as well. There are some challenges around it. You need to vacuum the resin before you pressurize it just to get out all the air bubbles. Otherwise, you're going to have air bubbles around those pins.
Yeah.
But this opens it up to going, I've been wanting to do an integral bolster where the tang is a flower, where you forge a rose out of the tang and then cast that in resin.
That's really unique. That kind of stuff I've never seen before. That's really unique.
That's a great idea.
That's awesome. I love that.
I love the idea of the intention of being able to see through this translucent material, and whatever you see is meant to be seen, not like of like an afterthought. I love that.
Thank you. But that's those are my random bullshit.
I got a question based on just on this Damasteel Invitational.
Yeah.
When you leave your booth. Is your booth unmanned?
It is unmanned. I've just left a message saying I'll be back.
Okay.
It's also this is brutal, guys. Sitting here by myself for 3 hours from 5 a.m., having to talk often to no one because you've got to be talking until somebody comes into the booth. You're like, this
really?
Is horrendous.
We addressed this in some prior parts, but Aiden in his comments.
There's a good question for
Theodore.
This is a question from Theodore Zhang. You've addressed this in some ways in prior podcasts, but Aiden's comments sparked this thoughtful question. Would any of you ever create a knife that really couldn't be used for its intended purpose, cooking, or forge, pun intended, in a new postmodern style? I read that thinking I knew what he was saying.
No, I didn't go to art school. I have a clue what that means.
Yeah, like something
man.
Like we can make something non-functional.
If we get in the chat, if you're listening to this and you know what we're talking about, we get a chat. We have a chat box. And some people say, like, we just got Josh Prince said, hey, y'all, Fingal Ferguson's in the house. Everyone says one little thing here. And if you write like a paragraph, all of a sudden in my mind, it's important. So I guess, Theodore, I'm sorry, man. I guess I don't understand. A knife that couldn't be used but is artful or crazy looking. Oh, okay. So then so basically you're saying, would you ever consider making a sculpture? So the knife could never be used, but it would be.
It's an art piece.
You'd make it, but it would never be used. And I actually have thought about that because I was going to do something for an art show where I was going to pierce a hole in the middle of a knife and I was going to turn it in on itself. But figure out a way to finish the whole thing so it was like a giant, going into itself, and it wouldn't be able to be used, but it would be, a fully functional knife that would be impossible to use. I've thought about doing that.
Keep going, Jeff. I'm just stealing that idea, Jeff. Keep going.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had an idea similar to that as well, where
you should be writing down Aiden's idea because that's the kind of move I could see you doing, and then you put it on your laser.
Yeah, just do it really quick. I've had the idea of doing an art show. So a lot of knives in Australia are illegal. You can't have trench knives. You can't have balsongs. And I wanted to produce a whole bunch of illegal weapons and then freeze them in blocks of ice and then have them at an art show where you entering changes the temperature of that room. And so you entering makes you complicit in those knives being released from the ice.
I love it.
Wow.
I love it.
And that's like there's intention in that. That is art. That's for the purpose of art. I weirdly, I like whenever Jeff talks about art, I'm like, oh yeah, like that's my jam. While you guys are like, shut up, Jeff, just stop talking about art. But yeah, like that's I love.
I try to keep
that intention within these kind of things.
Aiden, don't encourage him. Do not encourage him.
I just like that idea. I like the fact that you're thinking about. That's the thing. I mean, talking about art. That's what when you're talking about what you're making, and I think it could be described for knife makers too. Is you have to think about the viewer and how the viewer is going to react. And I love that idea. I love that idea very much.
Yeah.
I didn't talk that much about art. Come on, man.
No, you don't. You really don't. You contain yourself. In the beginning, you're also like, I miss angry, beefy Jeff. Like who just
now it's angry Craig. He puts a few pops in. He can give you the hook.
Anyway, Aiden, we're going to do the same as we've done with everybody else.
No, keep me off. Play me out.
No, I'm not playing anybody out today. Not playing anybody out. 15 seconds to sell yourself. Because there's a vote going on for the best knife in show.
I have to take off my clothes.
Well, if you like. No, sell your knives. Let's get some votes in for Aiden. Why should people vote for you? Because there's a prize in it for them. There's a prize in it for you.
Yeah.
What's so special about your knives?
Look, I think with what I do, it's about creating memories and creating an emotional anchor. So if that's my knives, if you see the Kraken or if you see the K-tip Kyoto and that evokes something emotional in you, that's the thing that you're going to take care of. That's the thing that you're going to pass down from one generation to the next. So hopefully that's the right thing for you guys. If not,
very good.
Where can people find you, Aiden? On what website, what Instagram, what's all your handles?
Yeah, so it's cutthroatknives.com.au or at Cutthroat Australia on Instagram. Thanks so much for doing all of this and being here. It's been great chatting to you guys. I'll look forward to listening to my own rambling, tomorrow when I'm back in the show.
It was great to speak to you, and hopefully we maybe even get you on the show one day. That would be great.
That'd be lovely. Cheers.
And thank you for the G10 you sent me. That was very thoughtful. Thank you very much.
Whoa. Cheers. Rewind. Whoa.
He sent me a box of G10.
There's 3 hosts of this podcast, Jeff.
You don't use G10.
You don't use G10. I'll give you stuff.
Jaden, I'm putting you late.
this is the thing. I actually contacted you a few years ago because my sister, my parents-in-law had a house near where you live, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to be there."
Really?
But you were busy. That was right when you suddenly got very, very busy. And so I was like, I'm not going to take this.
Trust me, I've had a few messages from people who are going to be near me. I've been very busy too. As soon as they mentioned when they want to stop by.
Nice one, Aidan. Speak to you soon.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye bye.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Bye bye. It's that thing when somebody says, "Well, I contacted you," and you think, "Oh fuck, what did I do?" Oh man, I love what he's doing. All that, really different stuff, and that sort of casting and being able to see the internals of the knife. That's really cool.
But these pressure pots are really you can get involved in them, and it is very dangerous. But there are all these YouTube videos on how to use them, and I always think to myself, man, these YouTube videos are telling people how to make bombs. It's just kind of crazy.
Yeah. Josh Prince is here. Should we get him in?
Definitely. And Fingal, too. We saw you, Fingal. We'll get you, too.
Yeah, we'll get there.
This has been a lot of fun.
It's been great. Yeah. Well, we got two. Let me kick one out. There we go.
Unbelievable. There
Josh.
He is.
You're muted, Josh. No, but is that me? Am I doing that?
No, Josh, you're muted.
You're muted, Josh.
Josh is talking. You're muted. You press the mute button.
There we go. Nope, still can't hear you.
He's still muted. We can't hear you.
This is our first technical difficulty of the day. We'll try again in a sec, Josh. You sort yourself out and we'll try again in a second.
Can't hear you at all, Josh.
Okay. Sorry, go on, Jeff.
I was going to say that it's we love Josh. Josh is one of the most innovative dudes around. But we had this problem with him the last time he came on the podcast too. So this is not a big surprise. See if Fingal's around.
Let's have a look. No, he's declined us, I think. Okay, no worry. We got lots and lots of questions from Instagram as well. But maybe this is a good time for Jeff to sit in the hot seat. What do we think?
Yes.
Okay. Bear with me. A lot goes into this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, are you ready?
All the time. All the time. And I'll take my phone, put it there.
I don't know why this music makes me want to dance like a goofball.
Okay, Jeff.
My phone's out of my hands. You can see I don't have my phone in my hands.
You know the rules. Anybody in the chat, please don't give any answers unless he specifically asked the audience.
Right.
5 questions.
Go ahead.
2 lifelines, phone a friend, and ask the audience.
Okay.
Question number 1, and these get progressively harder.
Okay.
A controversial situation which is awkward to deal with is often referred to as a hot what? Hot leek, hot onion, hot potato, or hot tomato?
Let's say C, hot potato.
You say C, you say potato, I say potato. Correct. 1 out of 1.
Hot leak is something completely different.
It is. You need to see a doctor if you've got a hot leak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hot sauce.
Number 2. In the Transformers film franchise, who is the leader of the Decepticons? Is it Megaphone? Is it Megabyte? Is it Megatron? Or is it Megabus?
I wish it was Megaphone because I would love to talk about how mad I am about Megaphone, but it's not Megaphone, it's Megatron. It's Megatron.
Correct. 2 out of 2, which means you've still got 2 lifelines left with 3 questions to go. Number 3. In the Bible, which land is said to be east of Eden? Is it A, Nineveh? Is it B, Nod? Is it C, Nazareth? Or is it D, Nimrod?
It's definitely not both of these, right?
It's definitely not both of these, no. No.
I don't have any idea. Should we do a phone a friend or should we ask the audience?
Ooh, have you got any friends particularly into the Bible?
I don't have any friends.
Certainly no God worshipping friends.
We can ask Stelter. We call Stelter up.
Do you think?
Call Stelter.
Let's try.
Will Stelter. He knows all about it.
So
and if he doesn't, that would even be better.
You are using a phone a friend, and you're calling Will Stelter.
I didn't tell him, so he has no idea if we're calling if he picks up.
Let's see if he's going to pick up.
But if he doesn't know this...
Okay, it's ringing. It's ringing. The tension.
Can you imagine if he picks up? I swear to God, I hope he picks up.
I've got a special button here that says tension, and when I click it, this happens. Will didn't join. I'm going to try one more time. If not, adios.
Oh, boy.
I mean, he's the guy to ask, right?
I'd imagine so. I would imagine so. No, he's declining us.
Well, Will, if you're hearing this for the last time, you're no help to me. You're no help to me at all. I guess I'll ask the audience.
Yes.
Audience, what do you think? In the Bible, which land is said to be east of Eden? Wiley says Nod. I'm going to go with Wiley. He was fast on the trigger.
Wiley.
Let's go with B. B, Nod.
You are correct. Well
nice,
done,
Wiley. Wiley, I appreciate you because Stelter let me down. But Wiley kept me in the game. Thank you, Wiley.
You can keep your phone a friend. We didn't get through, so if you're stuck on the next two, you still got a phone a friend.
Peace to you, Wiley. Wiley, I appreciate you, Wiley.
This is where it's getting more and more difficult. Are you ready?
Right.
Number 4.
Okay.
Which city has the most Michelin stars?
Ooh.
Is it A, Paris, B, New York, C, London, or D, Tokyo? People in the audience, in the chat, please don't shout out if you know.
This is a much harder question than where does creme de cassis come from? P.S.
Maybe, maybe, but this is random.
I'm going to try to. My gut says Paris, but I'm not 100% sure. Guessing. Guys in the chat room guessing Tokyo doesn't help me at all. Thank you. And I've already had one from the chat room.
People in the chat, let's not give any answers away.
So do you think I should call a friend, or am I done with that? Or
call a friend
should
if
go?
You like. Who are you calling?
I'm done with it, right?
Who are you going to call?
I'd call Tony, but he doesn't do Instagram anymore. I got to figure something out.
Charlie.
Charlie doesn't know. I gotta tell you, I don't think Charlie knows. Where's our guy Tyler Florence when we need him?
He's not here.
I don't think we have time for this. I'm going to go with A, Paris.
You're going to go with A, Paris.
And Wiley, who helped me before, is at Rook Bladeworks. Wiley gets a follow. For helping me out.
So there were 5 questions. Mareko had all 5. This is your 4th question.
Yeah.
And you're going with A, Paris?
Yes.
Okay, well, Paris has 123 Michelin stars as a city.
Wow.
New York has 64. London has 66. Tokyo has 230 Michelin stars. More than double.
Oscar, I should have listened to Oscar. Oscar said guessing Tokyo. He was right. That's crazy to me. Why is that?
I think it's just a much larger city, surely. I think that's probably what it is. So, Jeff, you're a loser.
I'm a loser.
However, you got to question 4. Mareko got to question 5. Would anybody like to see question 5, just to see if they're going to get it?
Why don't you do for question 5? Why don't you do fastest fingers in the chat room?
Jeff, shh. I've got one lined up for that.
Sorry.
Spoil everything.
Yeah. Congratulations, Mareko. You deserved it.
Yeah, Mareko is the winner. But this was Jeff's final question.
Go ahead.
Which of these is the southernmost state capital of mainland USA?
I would
Baton
say
Rouge, Tallahassee, Little Rock, and Phoenix. And there's a huge debate online about this, because a lot of people are saying something that isn't one of those options. But there's literally meters in it, so it's not.
I would say you want to say Tallahassee because it's part of Florida, but Tallahassee's pretty high up in Florida, I think. Maybe you go with Baton Rouge, but I know you know what's going to happen. It's going to be Phoenix is going to be the spoiler.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
I'm going. You know what? I'm going dark horse. I'm going Phoenix.
Okay, the answer is Tallahassee. although it's very, very close to, apparently, to Austin.
Suck at this.
Austin,
I lost
Texas
bad.
is very close.
I lost bad.
Yes, you didn't.
I lost bad.
Didn't really get to that question even. Right, this one is just for the people in the chat.
Jesus.
This is a fastest finger first. So there's a bunch of answers, and you need to give me the right combination of the letter. You know how this works. You've all seen Who Wants to Be a Millionaire before. Are we ready? Let's get a champion in the chat. On your marks, get set, go. Arrange these countries in order of their appearance in the dictionary from top to bottom. India, Bangladesh, USA, or Japan. Archie, you're wrong.
Oh, Jonathan's wrong.
Nobody is right. They're all blowing their load way too quickly. Wiley's only given us 3, so...
Zach Camacho, we got to get him in at some point, too.
Wait there. I've made a hell of a mistake here. I'm wrong. Whoa.
I'm so happy.
The answer...
Is it a bad mistake?
The answer I've got is very wrong. I guess not this. Let me pull it back up and let's see if anybody can work. Let's work it out live together. The answer is obviously B-A-D-C. B-A-D-C. Anybody have B-A-D-C?
Somebody had B-A-D-C.
Zach Camacho.
Yeah, Zach Camacho.
To be one of the presenters.
He's perfect. Yeah, bring Zach in.
Zach, where are you? Zach, give us a request to be on the show and we'll bring you straight in. Where is he? Is that him? There he is. He's on his way.
There he is.
Zach,
Go on, gentlemen.
Not only you are a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire winner, you're also exhibiting today.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. I had to get in there. I didn't do the letters. I typed the whole thing out. I thought you wanted to be quick on the fingers there.
That's even better.
That looks like a good array of knives you've got behind you there, Zach.
Thank you, Craig. Yeah, I haven't done too much with Damasteel before the Invitational, so feel like just these past 2 months has been nothing but Damasteel, so I'm pretty hyped with what I was able to throw together.
Yeah, throw together. How many knives are you exhibiting?
I did 10 knives in total.
Wow.
And I was telling Fingal earlier, he's a bit of a madman. I thought I had a lot done, and then I was scrolling through voting. He's got like 29 knives or whatever it is. So
They look awesome. Have you got a favourite there?
Yeah, I've definitely. This is my favorite of the batch here. It's a bit of an unorthodox style. It's kind of my take on a Nakiri, but it's got a tanto front, so it's ground. It's got a sharp edge in the front, as well as 2 deep fullers on my 14-inch wheel there.
Oh wow!
So
cool.
Kind of a tanto S grind. It's got bog oak for the handle, meteorite for the bolster, and I did my first wooden side, which is also with bog oak and meteorite pin there. So
cool. What Damasteel pattern is that?
Couple firsts for me, and this is the Baldur. So the pattern changes quite a bit once you get that hollow in there. So you don't see as much of those diamonds as you do in the other patterns. But
nice.
So yeah, that right there is my favorite.
So Zach, where can people see more of your work? Whether it's Instagram or your website, what's the address?
Definitely Instagram. I kind of post everything to Instagram as it's finished, as well as stories and stuff like that as I'm working on things. But all my knives, I do list them onto my site, CamachoKnivesAndLeather.com. So that's where the Damasteel ones are. They've got a password for the people at the show to get there first. So got that right there. That's the password to get in, and you'll be good to go.
Cool. Have you had many in your booth today?
Not too many. I had a bit of a technical difficulty for the first hour. My internet worked fine during the testing when it was just, me and Emily and Per. But for the show, I didn't quite have the bandwidth. So for the first hour, I was kind of scrambling. Fortunately, I've got a bar right next to my shop. So I went over and grabbed their Wi-Fi password, and I'm using their Wi-Fi right now. So
nice.
It looks a little bit better than mine.
But it's working well now.
In your bio, it says that you were a bartender for quite a long time and then became a knife maker. Have you been doing this for a long time, or?
No, I made my first knife in 2016. I've kind of been watching you guys since you came around. It's kind of about the same time. So I fell in love with knife making. So I wanted to quit my daytime job. So I picked up bartending to be able to do that. So for a while, I bartended at night, made knives during the day. And then when I had my son on the way, I decided to go full time. I figured, either this has got to work or I got to find something else. So doing the bartending, obviously I've got a lot of friends in the industry, and that's kind of what I think dragged me towards culinary knives, because in the beginning I was kind of just making everything, whatever people wanted to buy.
Yeah.
But I've got a lot of chef friends now, and he wanted my first chef knife, and he's continued to push me for more, and they've just become very popular. So
cool. Somebody in the chat has just pointed out, actually, when you put up the password then to your store, it was mirrored. So it's DCI 2021, isn't it?
Well, because I wrote it backwards because in my booth it was mirroring it for me, so I thought that looked right for you guys. I wrote that backwards.
Cool. So. But you got it there. That's awesome. So how long have you been using Damasteel?
I purchased my first bar of Damasteel. I was kind of kicking myself right before last year's Black Friday sale, which was 25% off. So I bought half a bar at full price, and that was my first time. And the stars have kind of aligned because I ended up winning one of their bars during the Christmas giveaway, and then when they accepted me to the DCI, I ended up buying 3 more bars. So
wow.
Pretty much this whole year has been Damasteel for me. So I'm looking, I'm hyped to have been finished with it. I'm looking forward to getting back to other projects.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Just so you know, you can get 10% off your next bars of Damasteel if you use Knife Talk 10.
I saw that.
There you go. That's everybody in the chat as well. Knife Talk 10, you'll get 10% off. Fingal's here as well. We've got a doubler.
What are you guys doing?
We're good.
Jeff, I thought you were supposed to be wearing a suit and in all kinds of funky town sort of environment. Did you got back in the truck?
I tell you why.
You didn't want to wrinkle it.
We podcasted yesterday.
Hi, Zach. Sorry, Zach. How are you doing? Hello,
we podcasted yesterday, and I just hated the echo. I hated everything about it. I was really kind of like down on it, and I thought I just would prefer it to sound better. So I'm back in the Jeep, and this is way better. I'm having a much better time. Yesterday was a disaster. So I am wearing a tuxedo, by the way.
But no pants, which we did confirm.
You look gorgeous in here, darling. You look gorgeous in here, as always. Hey, Zach, how's everything going for you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Fingal. A little bit of technical difficulties in the beginning, but enjoying myself now.
I've still got adrenaline from the whole boot up in the beginning. You kind of log in, and I couldn't actually find my booth. but after that, you're trying to launch your website, you're trying to answer messages, you're trying to get into your position. And I had my sister here just to help, just in case. And it was still sort of like too many pieces of the puzzle to put together for somebody who's not a very good multitasker. But you know what? The beautiful thing about this event is it's made me kind of want to see the equivalent of Blade Show or something like that. There is something beautiful about having people in the place. It's the closest thing you can get, because I never really get on a plane to go to these events.
Yeah.
And it makes you want to kind of, go to these events to actually kind of catch up. And I know you guys have probably been there before, but it's still to experience it once, I think, and actually meet people face to face and interact with them actually is a bond that sometimes I think is needed between knife makers. This helps, but I'm sure face to face makes it even more wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, I've been dying to get to Blade Show probably for 6 years before even starting knife making. And every year something kind of comes up. Last year being COVID, I was gung-ho last year, and then COVID hit, so unfortunately, but I'm hopefully trying to make a trip, kind of a last-minute trip down this year. I was able to get my first vac shot way sooner than I planned, so I'm hoping to be able to make my first trip down there this year, because I'm looking forward to the same.
Craig's going to launch a version in France, and we're all going to go and hang out with Craig in France.
Really?
Oh, totally. No, it's already planned. I've got all Ireland set up. We're all on the way over. We have the Sams.
Fingal heard I have a bar, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, there's going to be an event then, surely." And he's like, "I don't." An Irish man is not coming in my bar. No.
Yeah, we used to always call it the booze cruise. Going to France was called the booze cruise because you could get onto the ferry, and it was where you could buy cheap wine. And
yeah, the wine is still cheap, thankfully.
I'm sorry for interrupting. It was brought to my attention that Craig, in a number of episodes ago, hung up on Fingal's daughter, and I wanted to know, Craig, on the podcast, you hung up on Fingal's daughter, and I want to know if you want to give a public apology now.
Oh no! That was some beautiful work, and she had it coming. I'd hang up on her a lot if I could. I'd choose to ignore her as much as possible. You know, he was doing what we were all thinking.
I've been very well behaved tonight. There's no drinking going on. So we haven't had a single walk
Oh, so
off
it's a really boring show, is it?
It's been quite boring, actually. Yeah. so
it's not too late. It's not too late. I'm afraid to leave my chair because the gin and tonics are in the other room.
Zach, we were talking about shows. Do you do any local shows or anything like that at all, or is this like your first sort of big show? How are you promoting your work?
This is my first night show I've ever done. I haven't done too many local shows. My shop does kind of have. I do have a brick and mortar location in the downtown. And I did have a retail showroom in my old place, but I never opened up this one due to COVID. So I'm hoping to kind of take a big dive back into the public scene. I've got a lot of friends that have restaurants in the area and stuff. You know, Manchester's the biggest city in New Hampshire, so I'm right in downtown. I've got a pretty good food scene, and I've got a lot of dinners planned. My friend's got a nomadic dinner company where he does pop-ups in certain places, and we did a knife maker's dinner in November where I bartended that and had a few knives and stuff available, and that was really well received. So
cool.
We've got some more plans for this summer where I've got just like a nice little 75-pound anvil and a portable forge. So I'm planning on doing some dinner events where I'll forge a knife at the dinner, and the people there will be able to be entered into a raffle to get it. So I've got some exciting stuff coming up for the local this year.
Oh, wow, cool. That's something a bit different as well. That sounds really good.
I have a question. Do you guys get nervous that there's only you guys have to go back to your booths? It's like there's 38 minutes left. We're having a good time, but I'm afraid you got a couple $1,000s worth of Damasteel, which sitting up there, and I wonder, you got to move it or what? How does it work?
They say they want you there, and you can go back and use
get an email. You get an email if somebody's looking for you. But I think I was talking so much crap in mine that everybody left anyway. And luckily, I've sold the knives, so it's just to kind of I'm cruising now.
Fingal Ferguson's sitting pretty. I am wearing PS. I am wearing my Fingal Ferguson T-shirt.
Yay! Come on,
and that's all. That's all.
That's all. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, you saucy mix. It's it.
Listen. Zach, it would be unfair if we didn't do the same to you as we've done for everybody else. First off, I need to say I awarded somebody earlier.
Well, hang up on them.
I awarded somebody a prize for the best beard of show, but I think you got the best beard in show today, actually. So I'm going to take that prize back and give that to you. So not only you are Who Wants to Be a Millionaire winner, you've also got the best beard in show. But the audience can vote for a best knife in show. So we're going to give you 10 seconds. The time is dwindling every time. 10 seconds to say why people should vote for your knives and why you think you've got the best knife in show. Make it sexy.
No pressure.
No.
Do we got a 3, 2, 1? Is it go?
Go for it.
I put a lot of work into these knives, and I think you guys should vote for mine because they're very shiny, and I put together some very unorthodox designs and incorporated some antique or ancient materials that I think make for quite the unique and bespoke chef knife. So I appreciate it, guys.
Cool. So anybody watching interested in Zach's knives, go over to his page. He's got a couple available. They're available now. Get in before anybody else does. Head over to Zach's booth. Cheers, Zach. We shall speak to you again soon.
See you guys.
Nice
Cheers.
one. He's drinking from the horn.
I love it.
Yeah.
They are stunning knives. They're truly stunning.
Yeah, they're very cool. Very cool. So you've had a good day, Fingal.
It's the adrenaline before and thinking that nothing's going to sell and what's going on, and then luckily so I am the other side of the adrenaline now.
And you've done this before, haven't you? So you're a veteran for the
this is my second year, and I'm still making the exact same mistakes I made last year.
Do you want to try to pull in Quentin if we can? I know I just feel like everyone's kind of getting close to having to go back to their booths.
Yeah, let's bring in Quentin Middleton, and then we've got Salem Straub.
I'll jump out, shall I?
No,
you can stick around.
Stick around. You need to sell yourself in a minute. I know you've sold your knives. You need to sell yourself. And maybe
this is going to be on the radio, so stripping will not help.
Maybe apologise for the haircut too. We'll give you 10 seconds for that.
The worst. Yeah, exactly. This is famously the worst hair in the world.
Right, let's bring Quentin in if he's around. Let's have a look. This has worked incredibly well for us today. We're really surprised.
I'm stunned.
Video in.
Yeah, I actually didn't just say Quentin. Hello.
Quentin's here.
There he is.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Tired.
Yeah.
This is the time zone things are all fantastic. Do we have the four corners of the world covered now?
Probably.
Yeah. No,
it's breaking time for me.
I think we've got 5 time zones here in this chat, which is crazy.
We should get Balette from the Philippines on, and this is the thing. When you talk to somebody the other side of the planet, I remember when you talk to anybody from New Zealand, and you're half cut in the middle of the night, and you're cracking bad jokes, and you're talking to your mum back home.
Over breakfast
time.
Yeah.
Humor is very different at different times of the day.
Yes, yeah. So how's the show gone for you, Quentin?
It's going good. I sold a couple knives. It's slow, but I was hopping into everybody's booth trying to say hi to everybody. I was following Fingal for the longest, trying to get in contact with him.
I called into your booth and you were out as well. So I think we found each other here, which is the important part.
This is the kitchen. This is the cool part of the party. Like the kitchen. Everybody's in the kitchen.
This is the kitchen of the party.
Yeah.
Quentin, I have a question for you because you've been to the Damasteel Chef Invitationals in person in Chicago. How do you see, besides the fact that this is virtual, how do you see the difference between buyers who would buy your knives? Are you noticing a big difference in people?
Oh yes, I'm noticing a big difference because the interaction between people is way different than virtually. You can do your sales spew to people where you can kind of lure them in versus typing it and trying and hoping that they will buy something. So that's the difference, the big difference between virtual and in person.
I would think that because people are here to see specific people and because they're home, they're kind of targeting the knife makers, the specific knife makers they want to see. Like I don't know if I would think it'd be tough to find like a window shopper who's here at Damasteel.
It's easy to jump between the booths without being noticed and have a look around. But I think people probably do come here with a focus to look for something. And I mean, much of us, did you sell yours with an online element, as in you used your own website store to sell it, Quentin?
Yes, I have it on my website. So the link that's on my booth goes straight to my website. So there are other knives on there that you can purchase as well. But I've had some pre-sales yesterday, so a lot of it has been sold already. So the ones that I had left, they're getting picked up now.
Yeah. Yeah,
there is an interesting. I think there's a few people that we won't be talking to or sort of engaging with that probably went to the online store and purchased one without having. I mean, I did this shy, quiet people who don't really want to talk, know what they want, came in, got it, and kind of left. And in some ways, I'm sorry, I think there's something nice about that as well. And as people that you very much want to engage with who aren't probably coming here to buy a knife, maybe the customer of the future, and I think that actually is the fun part to engage with them as well. I think that they're some of the best conversations maybe between fellow makers, future customers, and hopefully business happening as well in the background, which is usually has to be in the foreground if it's a face-to-face, hands-on thing.
Yeah,
definitely.
Oh. So Quentin, have you got any of your knives with you at the moment?
Yes. This one that's sold today is an Akiri with the ladder pattern, Damasteel with the black G10 and neo green and green Buckeye burl. So it's a very hefty knife, but it's balanced just right.
Yeah, it looks lovely. It looks like a beautiful knife.
Oh, thanks.
So, Fingal, I'm going to kick you off. I'm not going to give you walk-off music, but I'm going to politely tell you to leave, simply because we've got so many people waiting.
I'll hit the road.
But I know you've already sold your knives, but there's a vote going on for best knives in show. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Why should people vote for Fingal Ferguson?
Why should people vote for me?
You should
I don't have any right now.
There we go. There, he had his 5 seconds. He had his 5 seconds.
Man, Craig Lockwood! He got the daughter and he got the head. Oh, God damn, Craig Lockwood. Shit. You are my fucking hero. God damn. That was awesome.
Shall we ring Fingal's mum now? And I'll just put the phone down on Fingal's mum.
You should bring Mert in. Now we got Mert. We get Mert Tansu in.
Mert, if you're around, let's have a look. There he is.
God, Craig, I'm saluting you. That was high level. All I could think was really funny now if he hung up on him and there he goes. Outstanding.
Mert is here. This is a Knife Talk
there he is.
crossover with the other great podcast. For
highest level of the highest level in the house.
Hey guys, what's happening?
How are things going, Mert? The show.
I woke up at 4:45, which is early as.
Enough said. Okay.
Yeah. What's up, America? Hey, Quentin. How you guys been?
Good. We've had good fun. So, I know you guys, when you do your podcast, you do video anyway, don't you, sometimes? But we've never done video before, and I'm surprised how it's held up. I'm really, really, really...
Did Quentin got out, or...?
He had to leave.
Oh, okay. Quentin Middleton, ladies and germs. If you don't know Quentin Middleton, you're making a huge mistake. He is one of the great people in knife making. He's just a phenomenal person, and I'm a giant fan of Quentin Middleton.
Head on over to his booth because he may have stock left. So head on over, and it's a great chance to get a hold of a knife, which is going to be amazing. Ian Anderson in the chat has just said, "About time a real podcaster has joined." Nice one, Ian.
Greg, back to your question. When we first started, the whole idea was we were doing a podcast.
Yes.
And with the lockdown, we started changing the format more like live stream over Facebook. That's been now converted to a podcast format. Because first we were doing a podcast, but now with the Facebook Live, it's all in the video format. I think it's more interactive. We got, just like this platform, we got a lot of people interacting, and we're getting live questions, and it just feels more fun.
Yeah. It's more seat to your pants as well, isn't it? Yeah.
I feel like Corin blocked me because every time you guys are on, I write something, and he never even notices. Like, I feel like he blocked me. Is that possible?
No, he's just old, and like, to be honest, when you go back to the message board, there's tons of messages, and all of a sudden, like, somebody like yourself might be asking a proper question, and some other person is quoting like bunch of names and words, and it's hard to sift through all of their comments to see like what's good, and he has the controls.
Yeah,
and me and Kev, we're just there for the ride, and he has the controls, and he gets to pick what comment is on the screen and all that. And somebody might be saying great, but some other person might be saying Kev is and also is on the screen.
Yeah. You're breaking up a little bit, Mert. I don't know if you can still hear me. Have you got any of your knives with you at the moment? Can we have a look at some of your work?
Yeah, I'll pull them up. This is the first one I made.
Nice.
So this 250mm judo in Damasteel pattern.
Right.
And usually I use timber for my handles, but for the first time I use the.
We can't see you now, Mert.
And the bolster is I don't know if you guys can see it.
No, sorry, Mert. We can't see you, and your audio's breaking up. So I'm gonna take you out. Yep. Please note, I'm not kicking you out. It's just technically it's not working for whatever reason. But hopefully we shall speak to you again soon.
Mert is the best. Mert is such a good dude. He's actually, you guys should listen to the latest episode of Knife Making Down Under, because he talks about this big problem he had with PayPal and a scammer. So definitely give him a shout out. They're our friends. Give him a show.
Yeah, let's try and get Josh back in. Let's see if he's got his audio.
Let's just try to get Josh in for sure. Man, this is amazing. We got all of them.
All right, you got to give me a chance. Don't kick me out.
There we go. You're in.
We'll never give you the hook, Josh. Josh rules. Josh Prince is here.
Josh Prince is a technical wizard. I'm up there with Craig Lockwood with the tech skills. Believe it. It just never manifest on any of these podcast efforts.
Guys, if this isn't, should I make an announcement? I just heard about one of the winners. Am I allowed to announce it?
Oh boy.
The best chef knife has just been announced.
Well,
Jeff,
the best paring knife.
Just a
Quentin
second,
just
Jeff.
Wait,
Jeff.
Okay. Quentin Middleton just told me he won the best paring knife. Congratulations for our buddy Quentin.
Nice.
Fantastic.
The best chef knife has just been announced as well. I don't know who that is, but somebody's put it in the chat. So maybe if anybody knows, if they could put it in the chat for us. Anyway, Josh, how did the show go for you?
Good. I had, I've heard other folks, I had a little bit of technical issues, so it took me about an hour, and I think I probably caused it, but I got in and got some visitors, had some great conversations. I think for me, this is just a chance to see people, talk to people, hopefully sell some knives during the show, but if not, it'll post up onto my Instagram, because I've kept everything very low key as far as posting what I've done up to now. I only posted 2 out of 8 that I made.
Right.
And,
is that your work you've got next to you there?
Yeah, it's a little bit bright back there, but I could show you a couple.
If you could, pick up your favorite piece. Let's have a look.
My favorite piece is this one, and I'm going to choose it also because it's a Fader-inspired name, which is called Este Cabrón, which is I like Jeff's naming convention of the Spanish name. So this one's a real cabronazo, and I just really enjoyed the shape of it, and it's the Heimskringla pattern. It's got a little bit of carbon fiber spacer, a little brass pin, and some lace wood for a handle.
Nice. Is that available?
Yeah, it's available.
People, what are you doing? Heading over to Josh's page and
you need this cabron in your kitchen.
Yeah.
No, can you tell our listeners what and be gentle with the listeners of what that means? I know what it means for the kitchen, but I like to hear from you.
Well, my use of the word cabron is the Mexican familiar, which is if your buddy is, if your buddy or yours, este cabrón, ¿qué cabrón es? It's just a way of referring to somebody in a friendly way. If you're in Spain, though, you don't ever want to call somebody a cabrón, because that's like the biggest insult you could hurl at somebody. Right. So it really depends on who you're saying it to and where you are. But my use of it is a Mexican use of it, which is...
I like that.
Yeah,
it would be
it's
like
very cordial.
It would be like the way I would refer to if I said Craig and I called him a fanny. That would be kind of similar. It would be similar in that we talked about this.
We talked about this yesterday. It means something very different in Europe, a fanny, to what it does in the US. It's worse. It's worse.
I don't recommend anybody go to Mexico and say call somebody a cabron right away. You might want to get comfortable with them first.
Or if you were maybe working in like a kitchen and you had this knife and you told someone that you were going to pull out your cabron, that might not come out very well.
Indeed.
Nice.
Well, you guys, thanks for having me on. You guys, it's a marathon for you. It's a hell of a marathon.
This has been fun.
It's flown by.
Yeah.
It's been almost 3 hours, and it's flown by. I can see now that they're actually making the announcements for the Best in Show now. So we are being asked to direct people towards the main stage.
Excellent.
So unfortunately, that is going to be the end of the show. But I tell you, I don't know how it's going to work, but maybe when it's done, try come back into the bit. If we can keep going, we will for a while.
Yeah.
Why don't we keep going, and then then people come back. We don't have to be there. I mean, we didn't get Tyler Florence, did we?
We didn't, and I don't know whether he did his cutting demo. I'm not sure.
I didn't see it. He must have done it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. But yeah, we can carry on. If anybody wants to go and see and maybe report back with the winners for us.
Yeah,
do some
report back
for us.
To
that would be
winners.
cool.
Yeah, we're not going to just cancel like this. Josh Prince is understated when he talks, but he's not understated with his work. Because you put on people that are as inspiring in terms of pushing limits and looking at things as art. Josh Prince is a handful of people that you would put at that level. So we're super glad that you're our friend and you're an extraordinarily talented person.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Got to get you on full blast. I mean, you can't go on Toby all the time.
I got my audio all fixed up, as you can see. Is like
all right. This summer you're coming on full blast. We'll chop it up.
For those,
sounds like fun.
Josh, for those who don't follow you to see your work, where's the best place to see your work?
Yeah, Instagram at PrinceWorksForge, all one word. That's the best place to check me out.
Yeah, folks.
And the website is the same.
If you're not already following, go follow Josh's work because it is incredible stuff. Right, Josh.
Thanks, Greg.
Great to speak to you, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Good to see you guys.
Cheers.
Good to see you.
See you, Mareko.
Yeah. Damn. Wow. This has been great.
It's been working very, very well. Have we? Is there any other exhibitors here in the room that we haven't spoken to?
I would have liked to had Salem on, but he's probably like
Salem's here, but I'm not sure if he's actually in the room. And if I add, I've requested him to join us, so I'm not sure if he's already here or not. We'll see. He is. Salem's here.
Yeah,
there we go.
He is. There he is.
Hey guys,
what's going on?
Well, I think I have a little bit of a lag from this location, so hopefully it works out.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you fine. How's the show gone for you, Salem?
I've just been chilling and talked to some folks. I talked to Charlie Lionheart for a while. That was awesome. And my buddy Nico, of course. That's my dude right there. So I caught up with them, played a little guitar, watch you guys. That's always a ton of fun to catch Knife Talk. How you guys doing?
Great. Good. This has been so much fun.
It's been a lot of fun. I've just had a bit of an idea. Salem, I think you could possibly be our last call. I think you need to play us off with a song when we finish the chat. Let's have a chat first. Maybe you could play us off with your guitar.
We'll see if I feel up to it.
No commitments.
So you've done a lot. I know that you've done a lot with Damasteel, and you've been in all of their invitationals. How is this one? I know we were asking before in terms of you've been to the events that were at a physical place. How are you noticing the difference with customers in this one versus live?
Well, I mean, it's a completely different experience, of course. I am a little bit technologically challenged, especially in terms of I have this rural glitchy internet. So I'm just kind of here to hopefully have a fun time and kind of fly by the seat of my pants. And if I sell knives, great. If not, as who was that you were just talking to? Was it Fingal or Quentin?
Fingal
was saying that they, it was just more, or no, it was Josh. He was saying he wanted to just kind of like catch up and hang out with folks primarily. And if he sold some knives, great. That's kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Cool. It's a weird thing, isn't it? Doing like a knife show online where you don't have the ability really to show, but obviously in the crazy times we're in, it's the only chance they've had. Going forward, do you think there'll be more of this kind of thing happening, where people don't necessarily have to go to whether it's Blade or everybody pile into one city? There's huge advantages to that as well. As you said, people can chat and get to know each other and that kind of thing. But do you think there is a place for this kind of thing?
I think it was inevitable that it would be tried in a big way, especially given the events of 2020. And I don't know how it's going to play out going forward. I feel like this show is a little smoother the way it's running than the last online show last year that I was at. So that's good. Commercially, last year I did great. This year I haven't sold anything yet. So we'll see how that goes.
People, if you're listening, Salem's got knives available. Go and get some knives from Salem before they're gone. Jeez.
I find it very hard.
Yeah. Listen to Craig. He's a smart man.
I find it very hard to believe that you have a hard time selling knives. I think we need to come. You need to tell the truth, Salem. I don't think that thing's going to last 5 minutes. Come on.
Yeah, they'll sell, I'm sure. I'm just stoked to get to talk to you guys mostly.
Oh, too kind.
I can see Mareko again. What up, Mareko?
What's up, bud?
We need to get you on the show, Salem, at some point. Definitely.
Well, I mean, you can listen to the Full Blast podcast. Did a fine job there,
Jeff promoting his own podcast
man, I'll come.
whilst doing another podcast. The cheek.
I should call in and give you the opportunity to hang up on me, Craig.
That would be the creme de la creme of hang-ups. Yeah, can you imagine?
That would be. I mean, that was like hanging up on the Pope. You can't do that.
No. Hey, if Craig hangs up on you, you've arrived in knife making, I think is the thing.
Don't encourage him. Don't encourage him.
Yeah. Right, I tell you what, we've got questions from the public. Let's put one to Salem, shall we?
Yes.
Okay, let's have a look.
All right, quiz time.
I'll take one at random. Let's have a look. From Aiden. Hey, cuties, I have a question. I recently got my hands on a couple of giant planks of different types of wood. Beech, ash, oak, and alder, non-stabilized. Which of these, if any, in your experience, is the most suitable for a kitchen knife handle? So he's talking beech, ash, oak, or alder.
Okay, if I had to make a snap decision, I'm going to pick ash because it's the hardest of them except for maybe oak, but oak's got a much more open grain. And ash is really strong. It's analogous to hickory, so that's a really tough wood they would use for tool handles. So if you had a piece of ash with nice figure to it, I would probably go to that first.
Nice. And with that, Salem, I can ask you one more question. We've got people in the chat asking about the hat. Where did you get the hat? Oh, I may regret that. I may regret that. What do you think?
You ask and she shall receive, Salem. You ask for it. I mean, yeah.
I may well regret that.
Lockwood is like, I mean, you can't get better than that. I'm like stupefied.
Look,
stupefied.
We've got a bunch of people who have requested to be in. We've got 6 or 7. I'm not sure if any of these are exhibitors or not because it doesn't really show for me, unfortunately. Let's give them all just a minute online, and let's see who you are. So the first one is Charlie Ellis. Are we ready?
Oh, definitely Charlie Ellis.
Here we go,
guys. There he is,
Charlie. How are you?
Hey, great. How are you guys doing?
We got another strong contender for best beard in show. Another strong contender.
Yeah, but he's not an exhibitor, though.
But he doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
He's here with a beard.
Oh, okay.
Here with a beard. How are things,
I've just
Charlie?
been lazy and not cutting anything.
Lockdown beard. We understand.
The Duke King. Charlie Ellis is here. The Duke King. How you doing, Charlie?
Good. How you guys doing?
We just got a message. Salem Straub just wrote, "I've arrived, I tell you." Good old Salem. He got the
hook. Charlie, how have you found the show? Have you had a chance to go around to booths, that kind of thing?
Yeah. I had a lot of trouble at first because I was just on my phone and it wasn't letting me connect my audio, but I got this snowball mic from doing full blast podcast that I hooked up on my laptop.
We had enough of this. Right. Next up.
I gotta get some air. I gotta get some air.
Yeah, he's going for it.
Get some air.
I think he's going for the rub down with the sunshine cloth. Right.
You're my hero. You are my hero. My radio hero.
We've got
fearless Craig Lockwood.
We've got Dimitri Turcot waiting as well, and I think Dimitri may have been an exhibitor. Let's have a look.
Oh, God, I can't control myself. You're the best. Legitimately the best. Oh, there's Tom Moss. Tom Moss is here.
Is Dimitri, are you there? No, I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, we've got another one, Michael West. Let's try and bring him in.
Dude, Cocobolo penis. Tom Moss is here.
I've got ones requested at the bottom. We're going through the requested ones. Okay, that one's gone. Next up is Mark LeBlanc. I think most of these have already left. Nope, there's nothing happening there. Zach Worrell of Monolith Knives. Let's have a look.
Oh, Zach.
I think these people may have already left.
Whoops, sorry.
Okay. Sam Gleason. I think he's been helping Fingal today. No, and last up is Gary Woe. Gary Woe? No, that's it. Everybody's gone.
You hung up on Charlie for no reason.
He's back. Should we let him back in?
Can I just say one thing before you let anyone in?
Go.
Craig Lockwood has hung up on this episode on Fingal. You hung up on Mert. I didn't hung up on Salem Straub, and you hung up on Charlie Ellis. That's a high level, and Charlie's getting the boomerang. He's back.
And he didn't learn anything from Knife Talk. I didn't learn anything from Knife Talk when everyone was giving him the hook.
I never even knew it was happening. I didn't even hear. He's talking to Salem. Hey, where'd you get that hat? And then gone.
We have
I
a
had
rule.
no idea.
It's a simple rule. No promoting anything. We have a simple rule. Salem was about to promote his hat. I could see it in his eyes. He was like, I'm going to sell the shit out of this hat. And I was like, he's got to go. He's got to go. Charlie was clearly trying to sell your podcast and saying how great your podcast is.
Oh, that was the reason. Oh,
that
was
the other podcast. So, rules are rules. I'm a stickler for rules. What can I say?
Too funny.
So do you think, have you ever worked with Damasteel, Charlie?
I haven't. I've thought about trying it out, but I don't need that stress in my life right now.
10% off with Knife Talk 10, Charlie. 10% off.
That's true.
Have you got any of your work there with you, Charlie?
No, not really.
We've got Michael West as well in with us, and I think Michael has been exhibiting today. How are you, Michael?
Oh, great. Thank you.
How has the show gone for you today?
Oh, as we used to say, a bit slow.
Oh, sorry,
really?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Are those your knives there in the background? We can see.
It's here. Yeah.
Wow, they look very, very special. Actually, what are the handle materials on them?
Oh, it's natural materials like birch. This from Norwegian mesa birch.
Nice, very nice. That's cool. What Damasteel pattern is that? You can't quite see here.
Oh, it's Odin's Eye.
Odin's Eye. Nice, very nice.
Yes, yeah.
Very nice.
We have this one, tulip wood. Tulip wood.
Tulip wood. Yes.
Yes.
I really like
crosscut.
Really like the shape of the butt there. It's really sort of sharp. It's nice.
That's what she said. You said that before.
Very nice. Very nice. And do you have any knives available for people to buy?
Oh yes, all this.
Okay, people, this is maybe your last chance to head on over to Michael's booth and have a look. Look at the finish on that. That's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's RWL 34, rosewood, Paroba rose, and a mammoth.
Wow.
Tusk.
The handle to blade transition is very interesting. I like it.
Yeah,
I like the flow of that a lot. That's cool.
So, if you were to talk about your work, what would you say the inspirations are in terms of the design?
From the start, it was like the Iron Age knife. They found it in Denmark and the Nordic country. These women's knives was the original inspiration. That's 40 years ago. I've been making knives for 41 years now.
Wow.
So it's like.
That's cool.
How do you see? I'm sorry, Craig.
Sorry, I was just wondering, the cutout that you have there next to the bolster, how are you doing that? Are you using a sort of drift and sort of filing around it, or how are you?
This one?
Yes.
It's just file work. I have a milling machine from a Deckel from 1937.
Wow.
Pre-war.
So no CNC on that milling machine, I bet.
I have no CNC. I made everything by hand. Even my drawings is by hand.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. Where can people see more of your work, Michael?
Westknives.com. I'm on Instagram, Westknives. I am Facebook, Westknives.
Perfect.
Very cool.
There we go. Westknives.com. Westknives.com. So anybody, if you're still looking for knives, Michael's got a couple available, and I don't think they're going to last very long. So head on over to Michael's Knives, West Knives, and take a look, because they do look very, very special, those.
Yes,
very nice. Well, listen, Michael, lovely to speak with you. Lovely to speak with you. Have you done this before? Have you done the Chef Invitational before?
No, I haven't. This is first year.
Yeah. It's cool. It's nice to see, different things. Obviously, we're in a strange time at the moment. People can't get out and about. So it's nice to see people. It's nice to see things like this happening. So, lovely to speak to you. And, thank you very much for showing us your work. It's a privilege to see.
It was great.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank
I thought that last question was
you sweat.
Dude, I was like, you're not gonna hang up on him, Craig. The last question, I was like, this is a dude, an older dude from Denmark. You can't do it to him.
Being very respectful. It was nice to see those knives. They looked very sort of different, didn't they? You know, he had his own very unique style on them, and it was beautiful. Lovely finish too. Very nice.
How close were you to giving him the hook? Be honest.
I could see your fanny clenching. So I thought, no, we couldn't do it.
I was sweating. I was like, oh God, this poor old guy. This is his first experience. He's 40 years of knife making. He's finally on Instagram and social media, and Craig's going to give him a hook.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
So if this thing, it says we have 5 minutes left. Does this mean the whole thing's cut off, or do we? Because we kind of have to end the show a certain way.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Don't know.
Do you want to see if Tom Moss? I mean, he came in with one of the best stories and store questions. He talked about Coca-Cola.
I don't have that facility because Tom isn't part of the show. But if you're listening, you can request it, and when you put the request in, I can then bring you in. So Tom, if you are listening,
we'll talk about your wiener.
You can talk about your Coca-Cola cock. Yeah. Why not? Good way to end the show.
Craig, this has been an amazing experience. Way more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and far less stressful as well, to be honest with you.
You've done an extraordinary job steering the ship. You've done these kinds of things before, I'm sure.
This is basically my family Zoom quiz. Yeah, all the buttons. Yeah, it's always fun. We've got a few people waiting to be on the show. Let's have a look. So Tom Moss is in. Charlie, you do the intro to Tom, right?
Hey, Tom. How's it going?
Hey, Charlie. How are you?
Good.
This is like we're listening on somebody's phone call here. Tom, what
nice
you wearing?
You got on there, Tom.
I might have shitty reception. I'm in a hotel today.
Cool. Any Coca-Cola with you?
No. But I did hunt down some nice wood today. I'm in Puerto Rico. I spent the day and I found this great local mahogany, some burls, all this stuff. I filled a trunk and I had to buy a suitcase to get it back home.
Oh, wow.
When I leave.
Wow.
I bought a lot. It was cheap and it was crazy. And there was a goat and a dog and it was a crazy day.
I'm sure I've seen that film.
I'm glad I wasn't digging. That goat was looking good.
So, in the States, are you able to take like different species of tree between states without licenses and stuff?
I think so. I'm also here because I'm in the Coast Guard, so I can just sneak it past customs. I don't really care.
I see what you do. Right, okay.
That'll gag.
In a bag on the side of the boat with it. Yeah, we know what you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tom, you're friends with a very famous California chef. You went to school with him, right?
Yeah, Chris Constantino.
Chris Constantino, yeah.
No, you're right.
It's very interesting. Chris is a very extraordinary chef, and you kind of grew up with him, right?
Yeah. We lived a few blocks away. We skateboarded our whole lives, got into trouble, and old friend.
I love the fact that
he's my R&D person. For the first 2 years I made knives, 3 years I made knives, I would just send them to him. And he was like, this fucking sucks. This sucks. He's like, hey, change this. Hey, you did this kind of well, but this sucks. Then finally he started like, okay, these are good.
That's the kind of feedback you want, though, and especially when you're starting out. You want somebody to pick up the faults, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I worked in restaurants growing up, but it had been 18 years since I was in a restaurant. You know, I could cook at home, and I sent it to him, and he gave them to friends, and
yeah,
it was the best thing. And local chefs, I would go to some local barbecue place by me, small time place, and I liked his food, and he was a nice guy. I'm like, here's a brisket knife, try it, tell me what you think. I got feedback from him, so
cool. Yeah. Right, guys, I don't mean to be rude, but we've got the main man waiting to come on the show.
Great.
The CEO of Damasteel. So, Charlie and Tom, great to speak to you both. We shall speak to you soon.
Good to see you guys.
But we can't leave the boss waiting. Let's have a look. It says we got 1 minute left, so I'm not quite sure whether we're going to be kicked out or what's going to happen.
Going to give the boss the hook? I mean,
possibly. He's not accepting the request. There may be some sort of delay. I'm not sure. No, I think that's it. I think we are going to be cut off at any point. Less than a minute. That went very well. It was real fun. Went very well. Technically, it worked too. I think the audio we've captured would be good enough to put out as an episode. And it looks as if everybody had fun at the show as well. So it's all good. Fingal certainly had fun at the show.
Yeah, no shit. Sold everything.
Yes, yeah. Wow. Very nice. But I think that's it. So rather than it kick us out and we potentially lose the audio, I'm going to put an end to the show. I think that's the way to do it. At least I know I've got everything sorted then. But yeah, thank you everybody who's listening live. Maybe we can do this in the future, like live shows and possibly with video as well. It worked as a trial. This really worked well for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll put this out unedited. Well, it'll be a week Monday. So you've got a show going live on Monday anyway. This will be the week after. And by that time, we'll have a full list of all the winners as well. So I'll make sure we put all that in the show notes. But yeah, thank you all for listening. It was real good fun. Jeff, Mareko, thank you again.
It was amazing.
It was good.
Thank you so much.
All went well.
Really good.
And hopefully the guys at Damasteel are happy as well that the show went well. I mean, technically, it seemed to go without any glitch. For I know a few people had maybe connectivity issues. A few of the exhibitors. Yeah. But yeah,
is this the after show now?
I suppose this is the after show.
Yes, yeah. It's still got us, still letting us talk.
Yeah. So anybody who is still listening and you are listening live, go and look at the exhibitors because some of them still have knives available, which is amazing because who would have thought? So yeah, it might be an opportunity to pick up a knife where you wouldn't normally be able to pick up a knife from these people.
I take it all back. I think that this could work as a video for live.
I think so. It seemed to work well. Yeah, why not?
You did it, Craig. You did an awesome job working this all out, dude.
To be honest, it wasn't me. I mean, the guys at Damasteel, we had like a test event first of all to make sure everything was working right, and they've really eased everybody in to make sure everybody knew how to use the software and so on. The software's brilliant. It's really really cool. And even now we can still see the amount of people we got 26 people still listening live now, who aren't bored of us after nearly 3 hours. So
I thought it went great. I mean, I just can't believe how, if you really think about it, how many people came in we talked to. I mean, it was staggering.
Yeah, and I'd say the quality was actually better than taking calls from Instagram like we've done in the past as well, with regards to the audio and the rest of it. But we also had the video, which was a bonus.
Right.
All good. All good. Wow. Right, that's got to be the end of the after show. It's gone midnight here.
Oh, go to bed. Dude, that was great.
Yeah. I'm off
great.
Have a rub down with a sunshine cloth, and I shall see you next week. Right, I'm going to leave. I'm going to press leave. Bye for now.
All right, bye.
How good was that?
That was great.
That was great.
Yeah.
So good.
You're just going to keep hanging out? Might as well
I'm going to go. I got to get something to eat. I haven't eaten anything all day. Listen, great to see you, and we'll see you soon.
You too.
You're the man.
Right. Oh, wait, just a second.
What?
I forgot something. Next week... Sorry, I'm trying to press the buttons here at the same time. Next week, are we doing a show on the Friday, or are we going to wait till later?
I think I think this should be the following Monday show.
Okay. So... we won't do a show next week. Is that right, Jeff?
Right. I mean, don't you think? I mean, we take a week.
I had to do it, didn't I?
Oh,
Jeff's gone.
Oh, the 23 people in here who got to see that. That is golden. Oh my God.
And that's a wrap.
Bingo. I'm glad. When he called, he messaged back, cocksucker. Don't worry. I'm sure he's going to do it to me too.
I'm sure. I won't do it today, but soon it'll catch up with you. Congratulations for being the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire winner. And yeah, it was cool. We'll definitely do it again soon. Cheers. Bye for now.
Right on.
Bye-bye.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you ready to meet the moment? Ozzy and our friends at Chevrolet are proud to present Real Talk, Real Change to help foster racial equality in America. And we're inviting you to help. Join me, Carlos Watson, as I talk with key leaders from across the country about racial disparities in America's healthcare system. Look for The Carlos Watson Show and Real Talk, Real Change on YouTube and subscribe. Or download The Carlos Watson Show wherever you get your podcasts.